morning. I'm now going to call to order the October 8th, 2024. Ready? San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting and Fire Protection District meeting to order. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land we call home. There are communities in San Diego region that face unjust conditions and circumstances related to the environments which we live in. The tribal nations of the San Diego region are an example of one community that has historically faced such injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respects to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States. From our four cultural groups, the Kumeya, the Yeño, the Luiseño, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. We aspire to learn from indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. I'm now going to turn it over to Andrew to call roll.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson? Here. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp?
Here.
Supervisor Desmond? Here. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
Here.
Chairwoman Vargas?
Vargas here. Thank you. Next, we'll proceed with the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be delivered by Reverend Rebecca Littlejohn of Vista La Mesa Church. And following the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance will be delivered by Ms. Jennifer Eichstein, class of Bonita Vista High School. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you join me in a spirit of openness and reverence? We gather here as people of many spiritual persuasions and none, as people with hopes and fears and passions and struggles and doubts. We have come from many directions, most of us not natives of this beautiful land, but guests of those who came before us. As we gather together, we make real the blessing of community. We are here to look out for one another. We are here because when we come together, we have the power to solve problems, to right old wrongs, to make our neighbors' lives better. As we gather, let us recommit ourselves to the persistent truth that all people are created equal. Let us stretch our hearts to comprehend the full consequence of that ideal, that we might promote the general welfare of all people, that we might ensure life and liberty for all people. In these days when violence, unrest, and war plague so many corners of our world, let us recommit ourselves to peace, to the growth of understanding between peoples, to the flourishing of all humanity. Let us turn from cynicism and prejudice, leaving behind double standards that judge some lives worthier than others. Let us rejoice with those who rejoice, even as we weep with those who weep. Let us declare with the substance of our living that every life, every child, every neighbor is precious. It is not enough to simply proclaim all people equal and then expect equity to blossom unassisted. And so we come today to build the bridges, the guardrails, the on-ramps that will allow access where before there were barriers. We come to increase safety and health for those whose care has been neglected or threatened. We come to pledge ourselves to seeing each and every neighbor as a beloved friend, an honored guest, a fellow human with hopes and dreams as worthy and bright as ours. We ask blessing on those who lead us in this vital work of promoting human flourishing. We ask blessing for our supervisors, their staff, and all who labor in this building and across the county. We ask that they might continually see their work as service to our community as a whole and to each person who is right in front of them throughout the day. We ask blessing on our entire county, on all those who engage with the civic life shared here, that we might carry ourselves with integrity, compassion, and goodwill. We ask blessing for those whose cries have not yet been heard, that their hope might be revived and they might find doors opening soon. All this we hold in our hearts, that our lives might reflect our highest ideals and shared values. Amen.
Wave, everyone. Bye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May now be seated.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for for being here. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you too. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. We'll proceed with proclamations, and I'll be presenting the first proclamation. All right. So the first proclamation will be honoring Chef Javier Plasencia. So I'm going to ask you to come up here, please. It is, bienvenido, bienvenido. It is an honor to recognize someone whose heart and soul are woven into the fabric of Baja California and San Diego, Chef Javier Plasencia. Today, we celebrate not just the chef, but what I think of as the ambassador of our shared cultures across U.S.-Mexico border. He's our binational ambassador, I think, officially. Javier has taken the essence of Baja California, its rich culinary traditions, its flavors, its ingredients, and elevated them both on both sides of the border. He is a shining example of what happens when we embrace our region's diversity and blend it into something beautiful. From his start at Culinary Art School in San Diego to his restaurants in Tijuana and now across Baja California, including his Michelin star in Valle de Guadalupe, Animalón, which you all should go to. Javier has introduced the region to the magic of Baja California cuisine, but more than that, he has brought people together, bringing cultures through food, fostering cross-border connections, and showing us that food is more than just nourishment. It's an experience, it's an art, and it's an expression of love. Javier's commitment to locally sourced ingredients from Baja's finest wines to sustainable seafood has supported not just the local food economy, but has highlighted the incredible bounty of our region. Chef Javier has been a fierce advocate for the products and people of Baja California. But beyond your accolades as a chef and restaurateur, what stands out is your corazón. Your heart for the people, the land, and the culture of Baja California. Your story is one of adventure, of pushing boundaries, of chasing flavors and experiences that inspire us all to live boldly and embrace the richness of our roots. Es un honor reconocer a un gran fronterizo que ha elevado a nuestra comunidad en muy poco tiempo y transformado la perspectiva de lo que es la región Cali Baja. Es por eso que, as we near the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, it is with great pride that I declare today, October 8th, 2024, as Javier Plasencia Day in San Diego County, and we thank you for your dedication, your creativity, and for always reminding us that when we cook with heart, we nourish the soul. Muchísimas gracias, Javier.
Gracias. Well, thank you. Muchas gracias. It's an honor to receive this proclamation. We feel very honored. We work with a lot of heart, what we do, work with the local producers, the Cali Baja region, and it's amazing that it's also on a Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, so we'll make sure we'll have a taco every Tuesday. Thank you. Gracias.
All right, I'm hungry now, but anyway, so the next proclamation will be given by myself along with Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, honoring Scripps Health 100 years of caring. Accepting the proclamation will be Dr. Juan Tobar. Want to come join us, please? It is truly an honor to stand before you today to recognize a pillar of our community, an institution that has touched the lives of so many, Scripps Health. For 100 years, Scripps has been synonymous with care, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the health and well-being of all San Diegans. With over 17,000 employees and 3,000 affiliated physicians, Scripps Health is a beacon of excellence in medical care, providing innovative treatment, disease prevention, graduate medical education, and life-saving research. Scripps touches the lives of more than 600,000 patients every year. Each person, each family benefiting from the remarkable care Scripps has made that a hallmark. As the only health system in our region with 2 Level 1 trauma centers, Scripps stands as the forefront of critical care, especially during times of crisis, but their work doesn't stop there. Scripps goes above and beyond their walls, committing time and resources to charitable care, to providing free and low-cost services to underserved communities, to advocating for patients, and ensuring that every person in San Diego has access to the care they need. What's more, Scripps has been a leader in community benefit programs, from youth programs and screenings to advocacy. They have never wavered in their mission to uplift our communities, and their work reflects the highest ideas of public service. As chairwoman of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, I'm immensely proud to stand here with Supervisor Montgomery Stepp to recognize Scripps Health. This is not just a celebration of your 100 years, but of the countless lives saved, the families supported, and the hope that Scripps has brought to so many in our community. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's an incredible honor to join Chairwoman Vargas and be here with you all today to celebrate Scripps Health and their 100 years of caring. This milestone represents not only a century of exceptional health care, but also a century of dedication to the people of San Diego and beyond. Scripps Health and their commitment to compassionate care and community makes them an invaluable asset to District 4. Since its founding in 1924 by philanthropist and visionary Ellen Browning Scripps, Scripps Health has evolved from a single hospital into one of the nation's leading healthcare systems. Over the years, Scripps Health has expanded its reach, as you heard, touching the lives of over 600,000 patients annually through its 5 hospitals, 30 outpatient centers, and hundreds of affiliated physician offices. The scope of care Scripps Health displays is a demonstration of your commitment to advancing medical innovation and serving the diverse needs of our region. This dedication to improving the health and well-being of all people, especially vulnerable populations, is something that we truly cherish. Your role in community extends beyond just medical care. We also must remember the visionaries who laid the foundation for this institution, people like Ellen Browning Scripps and the Sisters of Mercy who built Mercy Hospital. Their legacies live on through your ongoing commitment to providing equitable care to every single person that needs it, and for that, we are deeply, deeply grateful. As we celebrate this incredible 100-year journey today, we also look toward the future. The strength and resilience that has shaped Scripps Health will undoubtedly carry you forward as you continue to provide exceptional care to our community. And with that, I will turn it back over to Chairwoman Vargas.
So it is with deep gratitude that we declare October 8th, 2024 as Scripps Health 100 Years of Caring Day in San Diego County. Thank you, Scripps Health, for a century of commitment, compassion, and community. We look forward to the next 100 years on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning, and thank you. Thank you, Chair Vargas, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, and all our county supervisors. My name is Juan Manuel Tovar. I am Vice President, Physician Operations Executive, and Assistant Vice President of Acute Care Services at Scripps. We are proud to mark these 100 years of service to this region and actually beyond. By delivering state-of-the-art medical care, providing a range of community services that I've mentioned already, innovating in clinical advances in clinical research, but more importantly, training the next generation of physicians. We've been teaching new physicians longer than anyone else in San Diego County and currently administer 3 graduate medical education programs where we are training future primary care and specialty doctors. In the early 1920s, our founder, Ellen Browning Scripps, envisioned and created Scripps Memorial Hospital on Prospect Street in La Jolla to serve the needs of the community, saying, "I suppose accidents and appendicitis and babies and other ailments will continue for a few more generations of humanity." And they did. She created the Scripps Metabolic Clinic right next door to the hospital with an ambitious goal of conducting groundbreaking research and attracting patients from across the region and beyond. Our legacy was born from her vision and that of another exceptional woman, Mother Mary Michael Cummings, who founded what eventually became Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego. A century later, their shared mission and legacy lives on in Scripps Health, now an acclaimed healthcare system with 5 hospitals, 30 outpatient centers and clinics across San Diego County and 2 Level 1 trauma centers, as well as employing more than 17,000 people and 3,000 affiliated physicians who care for more than 600,000 patients each year. All of them dedicated to the same purpose, meeting the changing needs of the community we serve. We take to heart the values of caring for the community established by the 2 exceptional women who founded our healthcare system. It is what has underscored our efforts for our century and will continue doing so. Our commitment to serving our community and caring for our patients in the best way possible has lived on for 100 years, and we are certain that it will endure for at least 100 more. I humbly thank you for this honor in behalf of Scripps. Buenos días y muchas gracias.
Gracias. The next proclamation will begin by Supervisor Anderson honoring National 4-H Week. Accepting the proclamation will be Liliana Vega. No sé qué es 4-H Week.
If you're in a green shirt, come on down. While everyone's moving their way down, I am excited because all my kids were 4-H. And as you'll learn, as I speak through my speech, what 4-H means, because I think a lot of people think it's all focused on agriculture, but it's really, as you learn, it's about teaching leadership and helping our youth become future leaders. So I want to thank everybody. I had a list of names, but we have far more people than the list of names. So I just want to thank you for being here on behalf of 4-H in San Diego County. The work all you do with our youth is outstanding and deserves this special recognition. 4-H is the largest youth development organization in the United States, serving over 6 million people nationwide. San Diego County's 4-H programs are the product of a strong partnership between the University of California Division of Agricultural and Natural Resources and the County of San Diego. All these years I took my kids to 4-H. All these years I saw my kids grow in this program. I had no idea UC system has anything to do with it, but thank God for the UC system being invested in our kids. The 4-H represents head, heart, hands, and health, demonstrating 4-H's holistic approach to empowering youth to become confident leaders for the next generation. The diverse and engaging programs offered through 4-H instills these important characteristics within our young people, ensuring that they develop critical skills in the areas of health, science, agriculture, and civic engagement. 4-H programs have positively impacted the lives of thousands of youth throughout San Diego County. I would be willing to say tens of thousands of youth throughout San Diego County, and undoubtedly continues to do so in the future. For these reasons, I'm proud to present this proclamation honoring 4-H Week, and I'm going to read the last paragraph real fast. Not on this, it's way too small, on my cheat sheet. But it says, be it proclaimed by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 8th day of October 2024 that we hereby declare October 6th through 12th to be National 4-H Week throughout San Diego County. And we commend the 4-H San Diego County team for their investment in our youth's future. Thank you for all your hard work and support. And I'm going to hold this while somebody speaks from 4-H. So.
Thank you, Chairman Joe Anderson. We really appreciate the Board of Supervisors today for recognizing National 4-H Week. What a lot of folks don't know about 4-H is we are part of the University of California Cooperative Extension, which means the county is also part of 4-H. So Board of Supervisors and the county actually support this program as well as the university, as well as we get federal funding. So it's a very unique partnership being part of Cooperative Extension and ensuring that our young people here today are able to receive the benefits of learning life skills, of engaging in a variety of different youth programs, anywhere from STEM to agriculture to healthy living to equity work. We do that all throughout San Diego County. Our goal is always to engage young people, and you're going to hear from one of them today. He's our Golden Clover winner, Levi, who's going to talk to you. He's going to share his experience with 4-H, but his experience is utilizing STEM for benefiting the community, and so he received our state's honor for Golden Clover. So I'm going to pass it over to Levi.
I started 4-H showing chickens at Ramona Junior Fair. This taught me responsibility and confidence. As a junior leader for my club's 4-H engineering project, I learned to accurately convey ideas and inform others. I learned coding from a fellow 4-H'er named Sidarson. He created a statewide coding challenge, and I used that knowledge to teach coding to the members of my local club. I built electronics projects using robotics and machine learning concepts and presented them at county, regional, and state presentation days. I built electronics projects. As treasurer of my 4-H club, I learned to keep accurate records of funds and give financial reports at each general meeting. 4-H teaches me valuable lessons that I can carry with me throughout my life. Thank you, County Board of Supervisors, for continued funding and support of local 4-H programs.
Would you want to explain it? Yeah. This young man's exceptional, and I wanted somebody to explain what his designation is and why it's important.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind.
Of course, I don't mind. So throughout the state, we have what we give out Golden Clover Awards, and these are awards that are given to exceptional youth throughout the state. The youth apply for these awards or get nominated by another adult for these awards, and then they compete with students across the state. So I want you to understand that Levi got to compete with students across the state on this award utilizing STEM and civic engagement, and he was awarded the Golden Clover here in San Diego County. So I want you to understand that distinguishment. It is a great honor to have young people in our county just doing amazing work. I also want to say that a lot of our youth programs are just not possible without a variety of different community partnerships, many of which could be here in the room today for future generations to come, supporting young people in San Diego County. So we're always looking forward to partnerships as well.
Thank you. let's try to get in an area and do a photo. We're going to challenge you today. Would you like us out here? A change in plan. We're going out here to do the photo.
You want you all in front, okay?
Thank you. So let's come forward a little bit. So there's 2 rows. And right there.
Okay, the next proclamation will be presented by Vice Chair Lawson Reamer, honoring Italian Heritage Month. Accepting the proclamation will be Jerry Ballesteri and Luis Palestini from the United American Italian Heritage Association, and Chris Gomez of the Little Italy Association, and Tom Cesarini from Convivio. Good job. That was so cool.
Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, here, come back, come back. Come back. Thank you for being here.
I voted for you this morning.
Good work, good work. So I'm very excited to have 3 amazing organizations here with us today to celebrate Italian Heritage Month. The Little Italy Association, which is the group responsible for turning the Little Italy neighborhood into the gym it is today. Convivio, which is just up the street from here, promoting Italian culture, fostering the arts, and strengthening our community ties. And then United Italian Heritage Association, a nonprofit dedicated to celebrating and preserving Italian American culture and traditions in our community. The Italian community has deep roots in San Diego. Italian immigrants brought a passion for family, food, and community, enriching our city with their traditions and culinary delights, like their wonderful chocolate chip cannolis from Nonna's. And from Little Italy to vibrant cultural festivals, Italian heritage is woven into the fabric of our local culture. Italian Americans have made significant contributions across so many fields: arts, business, politics, and more, fostering diversity across San Diego County. Notably, Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove proudly represents the Italian community on the field as he and his teammates set out to win Game 3 tonight. As we reflect on the achievements of the Italian community this month, let's celebrate the values they embody: hard work, dedication to family, and a commitment to preserving our heritage. These values resonate with all of us, reminding us the importance of community. So let's honor the Italian heritage that has shaped our country and our county, and celebrate past, present, and future. Thank you to everyone who keeps this vibrant culture alive in San Diego. So be it proclaimed by all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that we commend these 3 organizations for your outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare this month of October 2024 to be Italian Heritage Month throughout San Diego County. You want to say a couple words? Anyone want to say a couple words?
We'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for giving this extreme honor. This is the first time, I believe, our community's been recognized formally for all the years that we've been here, starting since before the 1900s. In that period of time, our peoples have went from the little area that's right behind us. When the freeway came through, they destroyed the neighborhood. We moved elsewhere in the whole county, representing all your constituencies. But it was for the betterment of San Diego, and that's what our community stands for now. We're trying to be able to redevelop our Italian community. We're trying to reestablish our Italian festivals, our pizza days, and just the feeling of sharing, enjoying of our Italian heritage with all of you. Hopefully, if we get lucky, we'll have a spaghetti day in everybody's home at least once a week, and you could always think of all the nice memories you've had with our Italian families. God bless all of you, God bless San Diego, and God bless our Italian community.
On behalf of the Little Italy Association Board of Directors and the Little Italy community, we want to thank you all and the supervisors for this special proclamation honoring the Italian Heritage Month. Little Italy actually is used to fish, the Italians used to fish out of these waters in honor of our community. We want to celebrate not only the Italian heritage, but also all those that have received proclamations today. Thank you.
Anybody else who's Italian like to be able to take a picture?
Everyone's honoring Italian. It's okay.
It's also terrible too.
Ready? Good. Okay, 2 more. Good. 1 more.
Come on.
The other way. Yeah. A little more work. There we go. Perfect. Big smile. Big smile. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Lawson Weimer and Supervisor Montgomery Stepp honoring Filipino American History Month. Accepting the proclamation will be Caitlin Mendoza and Vivani Restua.
Well, good morning again, everyone. This month, I am very happy and honored to join my colleague, Vice Chair Lawson Weimer, to honor the culture and contributions of Filipino Americans. I want to give a big thank you to the county's Filipino Employee Association for continuing to support the rich culture and diversity that we have here in San Diego County. Your work to unite us is extremely inspiring, and we do appreciate you. As one of the fastest growing immigrant groups in the United States with numerous local and global contributions, it is only right that the county celebrate Filipino American History Month. During the 1960s, United Farm Workers Movement, the Filipinos played a major role in improving working conditions for farm workers in California. Additionally, almost 250,000 Filipino Americans are proud veterans who served in World War II. Lastly, Filipinos are well known for exceptional patient care, serving as doctors and nurses in the global healthcare industry. And I just want to say a big thank you to the Filipino Americans in District 4. And I want to thank again the Filipino Americans working here at the county. Happy to work alongside my Filipino American brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles. I'm family. But most importantly, I'm happy to represent you on the County Board of Supervisors. And with that, I will turn it over to Supervisor and Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer.
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. So in October, we celebrate Filipino American History Month. Filipino Americans have been instrumental in shaping our local community and our country. And in California in particular, we remember the invaluable role of Filipino Americans like Larry Itliong in the farm labor movement, a fight that paved the way for workers' rights and justice. His work led to major improvements in wages, working conditions, and labor rights, helping lay the foundation for future labor movements. He was instrumental in forming the United Farm Workers alongside other prominent leaders like Cesar Chavez. And here today in San Diego County, our Filipino American Employees Association continues that fight. The County of San Diego Filipino Employees Association is the largest of the county's employee resource groups and has been such an incredible partner to my office. Earlier this year, we launched a data equity policy to improve how the county collects demographic data. Our goal is to better tell the story of the strengths and struggles facing underrepresented groups, especially among Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. We also launched a new policy to expand support for county employee research groups and uplift their important work, including Filipino Independence Day, professional development for county employees, and PhilAm Vote, which aims to get more Filipino Americans involved in our nation's democratic process. So let's honor these efforts and also reflect on the remarkable journey of Filipino Americans and their contribution to our shared history. So be it proclaimed by the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that we recognize and commend the contributions of Filipino Americans and do hereby declare that this month of October 2024 to be Filipino American History Month throughout San Diego County.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer and Supervisor Montgomery Stepp for presenting us with this proclamation in celebration of Filipino American History Month. I'm Kathleen Mendoza. I am the president for the County of San Diego Filipino American Employees Association, or CSDFEA, and I am a county employee of 17 years now. Here with me today is some of our board members and our executive sponsor. Where was I? Okay. On behalf of CSDFEA, we would also like to thank our CAO, Ebony Shelton, and the rest of our county executive and leadership team for your continued support, not only for our organization, but all the 11, there's 11 of us, employee resource group serving the county. October marks the celebration of Filipino American History Month. Filipino American history is American history. This year, the Filipino American National Historical Society has announced the theme, Struggle, Resistance, Solidarity, and Resilience. From the painful to the triumphant. History should be embraced so that we can learn invaluable lessons and advocate for a better future. My parents, like many other first-generation Filipino Americans, migrated to the U.S., seeking for better opportunities, not just for themselves, but for their children and their families. Second-generation Filipino Americans like myself and future leaders behind me, we honor their bravery by learning from their struggles and achievements, sharing our history to promote a deeper understanding of the Filipino American experience, uplifting Filipino American voices, and demonstrating resilience and solidarity throughout the challenges our community faces. In the words of Fred Cordova, founding president of the Filipino American National Historical Society, everybody doesn't have to be a hero. Everybody doesn't have to be famous. Each person is very important as a story. Our stories are really in our people, so never stop telling your stories. Thank you all so much. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you.
I'm sorry, this one.
Congratulations. The last proclamation will be given by Supervisor Desmond honoring the Women's Resource Center. Accepting the proclamation will be Ariel Reyes, Chief Executive Officer of the Women's Resource Center.
Hey, Camilla, thanks for coming, making that trip. Thanks for making that trip. Come on down. Hey, good to see you. Thanks, good. Yeah. Well, good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome the Women's Resource Center team from Oceanside. So thank you for making the trip today down in the fog. It was a little dangerous this morning. But October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And this month and throughout the year, we need to come together to help those who impacted, unfortunately, by domestic violence and continuing supporting those survivors. The Women's Resource Center in Oceanside offers critical services, counseling, shelter, and education to women, children, and men in North San Diego County who are dealing with domestic violence and sexual assault. Domestic violence and sexual assault are just unacceptable here in San Diego County. We all have a responsibility to be part of the solution and ensuring everyone can live safely in a respectful environment here in San Diego County. So the Women's Resource Center is recognized as a leader in providing quality, compassionate, innovative services to families affected by domestic violence. In 1998, the Women's Resource Center opened their successful thrift store that helps the needs of the clients as they rebuild their lives. The community has supported the Oceanside thrift store through donations from new and used items, and understanding that many of the clients who are fleeing domestic violence are leaving with nothing but the clothes on their back. So this Saturday, October 12th, will be their annual 2024 Magical Evening fundraising event to celebrate their 50th anniversary of exceptional services. So whereas the County of San Diego, we are committed to recognizing and honoring those organizations that are dedicated to the best ideals of public service, and the Women's Resource Center of Oceanside is one such worthy organization. So now therefore be it proclaimed by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 8th day of October 2024 that we commend the Women's Resource Center for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and hereby declare October to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month throughout San Diego County. So thank you. So here, are you speaking? You're going to speak? Okay, I'm going to ask Ariel Reyes here to come up and give a few remarks. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Here with me, I have LJ, Lauren Jane, who is our COO. I have our Director of Programs, and I also have our social media coordinator getting some content for a social media page. As the CEO of the Women's Resource Center, or WRC, it is truly an honor to be here today. I want to thank everybody for hosting us, and also congratulate anybody who has received a proclamation today. For over 50 years, WRC has been a pillar of hope, safety, and empowerment for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. Through our programs, we've been able to provide shelter, counseling, and life-changing support that transform lives, helping survivors rebuild their life. Our transitional housing program, which is the longest of its kind in the county of San Diego and one of the longest of its kind in the state of California, provides housing, transitional housing program for individuals that have suffered domestic violence and sexual assault. The program provides up to 24 months of transitional housing program, which is critical in the stability that it provides to our 21 families and 2 single individuals. This extended duration, it's not only rare, but it also allowed survivors the time that they need to truly regain control over their futures. Our emergency shelter programs provides more than 10,000 beds every year, ensuring that those who seek safety and support through our doors have a place to sleep, recover, and plan for their next steps. This incredible capacity reflects the scale of our commitment to those in need, and we are proud to stand as a lifeline for so many who are rebuilding their lives. As we look ahead, we're eager to celebrate our 50-year anniversary this Saturday at our magical evening fundraising event at the Oceanside Museum of Art. This will be a special opportunity to honor our legacy and renew our promise to a future where domestic violence and sexual assault are neither tolerated nor accepted. Once again, I want to thank Supervisor Desmond for his leadership and for standing with us in this journey of healing, empowerment, and transformation. Together, we're making a difference in the lives of survivors and their families, and we will continue to work towards a community where safety and dignity are the rights for all. Thank you very much.
All right. Get back in here real quick.
Thank you, and congratulations. The next item on the agenda is item number G, non-agenda public communication. I'm going to turn it over to our clerk. Andrew will now proceed with non-agenda public communication.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Non-agenda public communication is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. According to the board's rules of procedure, public speakers that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments. The rules also state that audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. We have 24 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 7 in person and 17 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and in accordance with the board's rules of procedure, we'll hear from the first 5 speakers in person, while the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Mark, Oliver Twist, and David Modi. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Mark, Nora, please listen closely because I want to give you the opportunity to refute this. So it says here, this is a screenshot. Nora? Okay, I want my time to start again. Nora, this is a screenshot, and now it could be wrong. It's Microsoft Copilot stating, Nora Vargas, a prominent leader participating in the UN meeting with young global leaders in September 2024. Is that correct? Nora? Okay, that's really disrespectful. And I'm trying to be really nice here and give you an opportunity to say if this is incorrect or not. You're just completely ignoring me, which is obviously an insult. So anyway, see the YouTube entitled, and this is on YouTube, this title here. On September 22nd, 2020, the United Nations General Assembly announced that China would be tasked with collating all the world's data on human movement and activity. It is called GEOINT, and you can see the Wikipedia article on geospatial intelligence. Also, China's richest man, Jack Ma, along with Melinda Gates, is heading the Digital Cooperation Program, bringing all the personal data of all people in the world into one central place. That program commenced on June 2020. See the YouTube video entitled Behold the Pale Horse, Chapter 13, William Cooper. Start at 2 minutes and again at 11 minutes to understand how our government is following policy that the United Nations Treaty approved under the UN Participation Act in 1945, unconstitutionally superseding our U.S. Constitution to give the UN power over our people of the United States. And these supervisors are installing cameras, outlawing 3D printed guns and good rifles, and changing our land use documents to destroy our sovereignty. I also suggest that, I'm out of time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Supervisors. My name is David Modi. I'm a constituent of Supervisor Montgomery Steppe. Last fall, a house in my neighborhood went up for sheriff's auction for non-payment of taxes. The occupant, the man who owned it, became homeless, ended up living around in the neighborhood for several months before he received his check. Now, I'm not here to argue in favor of people not paying their property taxes. In fact, many of his neighbors actually offered to pay his taxes for him. But the reason I'm here today is to suggest to you that when sheriff auction lists come through the system, that maybe a division of the county, Adult Protective Services or something like that, reviews that list to see if maybe this is a case of an older person in failing mental health or faculties who needs assistance or protection from the system from something like this. I think it would be far better for him. Well, let me just say this. It would be unfortunate for someone in diminished mental capacity to be homeless and now in possession of a large check that he may not know what to do with. So it won't happen very often, but when it does, maybe this is something you can do. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers, Michael Brando and Catherine Rhodes. If I've called your name, please come forward and stand on the arrows.
Hi, good morning. Oliver Twist here. So I'm here today because of this very troubling article out of the Voice of San Diego with allegations of potential quid pro quo, retaliation. Ever since the CAO search started, we've heard nothing but shenanigans, backroom dealings, and I'm asking for transparency on that. This is made even more rich given your proclamation this morning for Filipino American Heritage Month. And now we have not one, but two instances that I'm aware of anti-Asian discrimination. So I'm asking for full transparency on that and for your words to match your deeds and your code of ethics. I would also like to share, for those who might not know, the county does have a code of ethics. One, it addresses improper gifts and gratuities. It says it is improper to accept or give the appearance of accepting any gratuity in the form of compensation, preferential treatment, entertainment, service, or promise of future benefits in exchange for providing special favors. So I am asking for transparency and investigation into that. This centers on that mystery email that was not made public. I would like you to make that email fully public, not redacted. I would also, they say a smart attorney also never asks a question that he or she does not know the answer to. If I was a betting woman, I probably would have included maybe BCC and I'm a recipient, so I'm asking for that to be disclosed, all recipients. And again, I would like to remind you, lastly, of your motto. This is your chance to have your words match your deeds. We hear it all the time. The noblest motive is the public good. Please prove it. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Michael, I would like to make this day a day of a proclamation for Tara Lawson Reamer. And it actually is based on this gem from May 21st.
Okay, I'm speaking a little out of turn. We sit up here and we do theater like all day long. I know we never get to say the stuff that's really going on. We just sit here and have theater all day. Okay, I'm speaking a little out of turn. We sit up here and we do theater like all day long. I know we never get to say the stuff that's really going on. We just sit here and have theater all day.
I love that, and it's so worthy of attention because you were speaking the truth, at least for once, that all of this is about theater. All of it is about theater, and what's really happening behind the scenes is not really disclosed. That may be a shock to some people who come here only ever once in a while or maybe have never been here. I want to invite people to go to Instagram and go to truth_tonics, TRUTH_TONIX. There's a great compilation that a speaker named Truth did of the absolute hypocrisy that goes on in this board. And the good news about this is all of this is going to continue to come to light. And for those of you who are stuck in this red-blue Democrat-Republican fake paradigm, I am not for Trump. I am not for Kamala Harris. I'm not for Falconer. I'm not for Reamer. All of that is a vast illusion which is soon to come crashing down. More people will start to see it. And that's the good news. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Catherine Rhodes, and I want to tell you some good news. And thank you to Ebony Shelton's office for getting me in touch with Kelly Solomon of Health and Human Service, Housing and Community Development Services. So here's my problem. I'm going to hopefully have a meeting with her, but without one of you county supervisors going to the meeting with me, something might happen. They might not do anything. What I want is, I would love Ebony Shelton to be at this meeting with me. I would like my supervisor, Tara Lawson Reamer, to be at this meeting with me, or Monica, because you know so much about how the city destroyed all those 10,000 affordable housing units in the downtown project area within a 6-year period, and we never got justice. We still can get justice, and so this is my solution for everything. This is my huge, giant solution for everything to do with the County of San Diego. What it is to add a ROPS line item to the successor agency recognized obligation payment schedule, and this is what I want to do. I want to add $10 billion. Why not? And what that would do is it'll give you a funding stream for the next 25 years for affordable housing. We could get justice. The 10,000 units were only, so we could literally do this. And all it requires is cooperation between the city and the county, where you guys negotiate like you did for 100 other ROPS line items in the last 6 years. And so what I want you guys to do is I want somebody to, with Ebony Shelton's, and maybe even Ebony Shelton's office, to actually sit in this meeting and let me show you the solution. You know, the reason why we have this beautiful waterfront park is because I came here one day and I talked to Ron Roberts about how he could get money to do anything he wants. I have your solution. Thank you.
We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. All the remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
All about. Last time we looked at Cal Constitution Article 1. The rest pretty much follows the U.S. Constitution. Let's move on. Article 2, Section 1 says all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their protection, security, and benefit, and the people, they have the right to alter or reform it when public good may require. You do things without considering the people on your own or against laws such as the Brown Act at your own risk. Section 2 says the United States citizen 18 years of age and resident of the state may vote. The Secretary of State confirms to register to vote in California, you must be a United States citizen or resident of California, 18 years or older on election day. This means that even if non-citizens should vote, his or her vote is invalid and would incriminate anyone who allows this as a regular practice. Section 6 says all judicial, schools, county, and city offices shall be nonpartisan. I've seen some pretty creative tries to link these people to a political party. So we, the people, need to be careful not to confuse the party with the politician's actual stand on issues, because the politician is, in fact, non-partisan. So it's not bound to follow the party line, even if he or she pretends. Section 7 says the voting shall...
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Consuelo, that was excellent. We are living in a world where the ones who are awake to the rigged system and exposing it are deemed crazy or uncivil by the ones who defend that same system that keeps them enslaved. With that being said, Nora came to my county last night and started in on the lies, lying to my neighbors, obfuscating facts, speaking out both ends of her mouth, talking about contracts in reference to the 125 freeway toll due to there still being a toll that was unanimously voted on in 2022 to be done away with. To this day, my community is affected by these drivers trying to avoid toll fees. They speed through our neighborhoods, rushing to work and back daily. Then Nora has me kicked out for speaking truth. I was calling out her lies. She starts in with her crocodile tears talking about, this is why I need security. No, Nora, you need security because you continue doing wrong and lying to the people, saying things like, the air is safe to breathe. Stop lying. No one wants to hurt you, Vargas. We need you to do your work. Work for the county, not to further put us in harm's way. You continue doing bad, corrupt, deceitful things that are affecting our county. As I mentioned before, the majority of the San Diego County doesn't even know who you are, nor do they want to harm you. But they will soon find out what a true vendetta looked like. Nora, conflicts of interest, corrupt Vargas. You're a county employee. Act like it. You work for the people. You have no business attending the UN meeting when your job is here to take care of the goings-on in our county. As I pointed out last night, she doesn't work for us. She's a puppet doing the dirty work.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Gambler here. How you guys doing? I love that article from Voice, and yeah, no, that was an excellent meeting, and I really don't know who was telling the truth and who was lying with the Jim saying that we're trying to get rid of parking and basically cars and move straight into public transit, or was it Nora who says we are absolutely not doing that? Either way, I don't give a shit. I believe both of you are pretty much liars. So, that being said, Voice of San Diego, Michael Vu, oh man, that guy has a slippery mother, I tell you. But if that is true, then Ebony is a DEI hire. She did not get her job from her skill. She got it based off of the color of her skin. Unless the true reason is that you demoted them on top of the registrar of voters because you recognize the fact that anyone, any country could go ahead and re-register someone else to vote and vote for them. You recognize that Michael Vu was the one that got all of California to go ahead and do that, and you are spacing yourself away from him. But he's slippery, and he went ahead and went with the obvious one. I love his tactics. So you could go ahead and clarify if she's a DEI hire or you recognize the fact that there is a major problem with the elections, and that's why you put him in charge of only that so that he could go in and do that. And he doesn't want that, so he's going to quit because he knows at the end of the year it's going to get exposed. And the fact that the restraining order is there is going to say that you guys are hiding it, which means that you go to jail for it. So you guys make the choice. Certify the election, go to jail. Don't certify the election and tell the people the truth. Make the choice. But either way, there may be serious consequences this election.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Barbara Gordon. I wanted to share with you, President Biden has proclaimed October as National Substance Use Prevention Month. American young people are the future of our nation. Every one of them deserves an opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. With the dedicated National Youth Prevention Month, we must all recommit to providing all young people with the resources and support they need to lead healthy lives and achieve their dreams. Preventing substance use like vaping or marijuana before it starts is a crucial part of a comprehensive approach to addressing this overdose crisis. I work with young people, and the only way out of this drug crisis is to deter drug use from starting in the first place, by keeping our communities safe, by not prioritizing the marijuana or tobacco industry. I urge this council to take actions to implement practices and evidence-based prevention strategies that improve the health of our young people. Protecting public health, keeping more individuals achieving healthy, drug-free lives must be a top priority. I respectfully request the board to help families, schools, and communities to prevent substance use and improve the well-being of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the final caller this morning.
Thank you. This is Peggy Walker. Joining the Los Angeles Times and other media in an investigative reporting on the destructive outcomes of marijuana, the New York Times, in an article published 4 days ago, concludes what medical and treatment professionals here have been warning. As marijuana use surges, so have the harms. The hard-hitting Times article reported that teens dependent on marijuana are consuming high-potency daily pot in alarming amounts, and an explosion in use has left doctors to contend with a sharp rise in cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS. As a public health educator, I believe our community deserves to know about CHS if we are to be bombarded with more marijuana businesses. Local doctors report high numbers of cases. The Times called lack of public awareness of CHS, once a rare but now common outcome of use, as dangerous. It reported an estimated one-third of marijuana users suffer at marked by severe vomiting, dehydration, seizures, kidney failure, cardiac arrest, and even death. The Times reported many medical users suffered debilitating CHS rather than falsely promised cures, but victim attempts to educate about it have been met with hostility. Governments and the industry have failed to address CHS, the Times stated, and it cited need for increased public health messaging about this debilitating outcome. It's something the county could and should do as a preventive public health service. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. So we are now going to move to the motion. I don't know what happened to my notes. Give me 1 second, hold on.
Chairwoman Vargas, it would be appropriate now to consider a motion for approval of the statement of proceedings minutes for the regular meeting of September 24, 2024, and the Fire Protection District meeting of September 24, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please vote. I'm lost.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. We're now going to go ahead and proceed with the formation of our consent calendars, item 1 through 7. All items on the agenda on the consent calendar are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Members of the public will be able to comment on consent calendar after supervisors pull items they would like for discussion. Supervisor Anderson? Supervisor Montgomery Stepp?
I don't need to pull anything. I just want to comment on the appointments. I'm excited to nominate Bernie Dunlap and Yvette Porter Moore to the Emergency Medical Care Committee and then the Historic Site Board, respectively. Bernie Dunlap is a San Diego native. He graduated from Hooper High School and SDSU, later earning a master's and a PhD. He retired from 18 years of hospital administration. Yvette Porter Moore is a public historian and genealogy consultant. She is keen on developing projects supporting historic building restoration and boosting tourism throughout the county. So hopefully I can ask for my colleagues' support, and I will move the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got nothing to pull, no comments to make, and I'll second the agenda or the consent calendar.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
No items to pull. I just wanted to make a couple comments on item 5. I think it's a lot of great progress. So thank you all for moving this forward. I know we've taken a lot of aggressive action over the last 3.5 years to overhaul and modernize our behavioral health system. I think this is particularly important as we prepare to implement SB 43 in a couple months. And just looking at what we're doing here, I think it's an important another important building block in adding beds and services and treatment options. These 49 new recuperative care beds, it looks like we're going to be able to serve over 1,000 people annually, which is really important for homeless adults who are falling through the cracks. So thank you again, and happy to see this moving forward.
Thank you. I don't have any other items to pull, but I just wanted to make a couple of comments on item number 2. As we're approaching almost, it'll be a year since the floods took place. One of the things that was really critical and important is making sure that we were taking care of our communities in ways that we had never done before. I really appreciate the leadership of Supervisor Montgomery Stepp as well with me in this process, and my colleagues, as we ensured that folks that were impacted by housing, food, didn't fear being evicted from their homes, and really focused on their need for food security and creating additional childcare challenges and what was happening to them. So I want to make sure, I'm really appreciative that we have this grant funding, and more importantly, that it's going to increase our community emergency response teams and complete emergency plans for our communities and families. And so looking forward to collaborating with OES and public safety teams as we move forward and making sure that we address our community's concerns. And so With that, I'm going to turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 10 requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, 3 in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. Any individuals that requested to speak on items on the consent calendar by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with the individual in favor, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. We'll ask you to please identify which item on the consent calendar you are speaking on. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Catherine Rhodes, followed by Mark, and allegedly Audra. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record. And again, please identify which item on the consent calendar you're speaking on. Thank you.
Hello, Catherine Rhodes, and I want to talk about my favorite report. But my favorite report, you did make some changes for it that I wanted probably about 10 years ago. But if you made more changes to this, you would know how rich you are. Supervisor Nora Vargas, you're rich beyond what you know.
Catherine, can you please identify which item on the consent calendar?
I'm not sure which one's communication received. Is it number 7?
Item 7, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So item 7, communications received. So this is your beautiful periodic financial report that gives you information which you could use for everything. But one thing I wanted to talk about is the Fund 61040, the ARPA Trust Fund. You have to spend, in order to spend it before December 2026, you have to spend an average of $11 million a month, cash. It has to go out the door. You can't keep it. This, sadly, unlike last month, sadly this month, you've only spent $1 million instead of $11 million. So why did you only spend a measly $1 million? I guess that would be for Ms. Shelton. Why did they only spend $1 million when you could have spent so much more? And so one thing I wanted to say is, one thing you could use, and then also I also wanted to talk about the other millions of dollars you have, or the general fund now has $1.7 billion. $1.7 billion in your general fund. It's a fund. This money is there. You don't understand it. The other one is, the second fund is 11100, the road fund. You have $230 million in here. From the 2007 firestorm, you have $800,000. If you're looking for money to put to the fire departments, give them some of this cash. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, this is the title of an article about a letter that Beatrice Golem sent. PhD CSD researcher Beatrice Golem has already sent your board a letter detailing the grave dangers of 4G and 5G radiation, which supervisors ignored. 800 megahertz is the frequency Europe uses for 4G LTE. This agenda item will turn every police car into a transmitter that will radiate the police, like a ham radio. See this YouTube video proving the government doesn't care about its soldiers. Here's the title. I believe this is a YouTube video or an article title. Yeah, it's YouTube. And by extension, it's new militarized police they don't care about. Or the CDC article entitled Evaluation of Radiation Exposure to TSA Baggage Screeners. What NIOSH found. We measured low doses of radiation among baggage screeners in most airports. Doses for some of the baggage screeners exceeded the maximum dose for the public. We observed unsafe working practices such as, I could go on about this. The point is, and here's tree damage. Here's an article or a YouTube video you could see about trees being damaged that were near base stations. The bottom line is, this can radiate the police. Seriously. In fact, people that have ham radios know that they're not supposed to use it very often, and they're supposed to be shielded. And I really doubt that they've considered any special type of shielding for the police. I don't really think they care about them much, to be honest. They certainly don't care about us. We've had many reports of kids getting cancer at universities with base stations near them. So I don't see why they care about you guys either, sheriffs or police. So 4 seconds left. How do you guys do this all the time?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My person uses the name Audra. I'd like to make you guys aware of the fact that you didn't give adequate time for the people to look at the agenda when there was a problem with the website, and what would come up is Wednesday's agenda. So you shouldn't even be having this meeting because there wasn't enough time for the public to be aware. You need to do 72 hours and you didn't, but you're gonna do it anyway. So 1, 2, and 5 is what I'm gonna talk about. This sole source, single source procurement of these portable radio systems. It's interesting that you're saying this is for a critical operation near the border for enforcement and security efforts. We have a wide open border. People are crossing every day, terrorists in fact, so obviously it doesn't have anything to do with that. What kind of security are you talking about? Because we're ignoring the fact that that's actually going on, and you know it, Jim. Number 2, these acts of terrorism in the, unincorporated areas. It's interesting because there was a domestic terrorism act in January when the flooding happened. And as you can see what's happening on the West Coast, some more domestic terrorism that is causing disasters intentionally, man-made weather. They can direct hurricanes. How cool is that, right? I mean, and is this a way to, inform us that something else is coming down the pipe? Because that's pretty much what happens, is you guys kind of got to let us know when you're planning some kind of terrorist act through fires, whatever, land grabs. That's what we got to do. And then for number 5, with this lack of services and capacity, you need 12,000 beds. Interesting. And so with the cost of these 49 new beds, is that going to set us down the pipe $3 billion plus to, and how do you know there's 12,000 people that are going to need these beds? That's kind of scary to think about. You got people on a list that you're waiting to lock up and drug. So good for you guys.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
Paul LeBold, number 5. Looks like you want to spend $6 million for 49 new curative care beds. At $122,000 per bed, I'm sure the recuperating behavioral health people will get excellent treatment and a fabulous room. Hope they want to leave too. Speak of housing, you need something sooner than the 2 years or so that traditional housing takes to build. I suggest 3D printed houses, tiny houses, or shipping crate houses. Let's keep up with the housing needs, not add to the 8-year waiting list we hear about. On your homeless hospital and housing contract, why are we doing penny ante deals where we give overhead costs to multiple contractors? There's less overhead with just one big deal. Number 2, I'm glad the DHS having screwed the country over by not controlling borders. I'm glad they recognize a bit of responsibility to protect us against acts of terrorism. The financial section says the grant is for $1.7 million, of which $960,000 goes to the Office of Emergency Services, $250K goes to Animal Services. Not sure why Animal Services are involved, but this is $1.2 million only. Where's the other $500,000? I cannot approve this fuzzy math. Number 1, if Sylvia's won the bid in 2021, what guarantee do we have that another source?
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Amen to Paul. Yeah, practically everything they do is fuzzy, not only the math. And to piggyback off of what Catherine Rhodes just suggested about diverting funds and finding funds. How about diverting the funds?
Please state your name.
Consuelo.
Thank you.
To piggyback off of what Catherine just suggested, how about diverting funds from the chair's security? It's so funny. You always do that to me, Andrew. You never wait like you wait for everybody else after they're done with their time. You know we're only limited to a few minutes or a couple minutes or 60 seconds. That's so lame, brother. Stop. Anyways, so as I mentioned, we can divert funds from the chair's security, and nobody wants to harm her, yet we're funding almost $500,000 a year to protect her lies and corruption. And what Audra said about the weather being manipulated, it's true. That's nothing new, not new technology. It's been around. And to leave off where Paul the Bull didn't get to finish, item number 1, single source procurement of Silvis Tech Radio. If Silvis won the bid in 2021, what guarantee do we have that another source does not now have better equipment? Silvis Radio are compatible with SDPD and Homeland Security. Anyone else? Unfortunately, there are no attachments which might tell us. The final bidding is in November, so there's no rush, and we should have more data before approving this. Yeah, right. Number 3, ratify acceptance applications to Department of Animal Services. It's going to hopefully Craig Netwig's horses are at the top of the priority list. Let's see, sunset review of county admin code for the public safety group. No link to the county admin code. And you want to extend the sunset review date for 6 years? Ridiculous.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Gambler here. How you guys doing? A keen example of exactly what I've been explaining for the past 3 years is the amount of money that you give to corporations to do jobs that if it was done in the private sector would have been done for half the cost. Flat out. They're extracting from you as much as humanly possible to the point that you guys go ahead and sign these bonds that is backed by our money that they have that they're not going to be able to pay off. Trust me, I've talked to a lot of people regarding that. They're not going to be able to pay those off. You're not going to be able to get the money. The amount of United States citizens leaving San Diego is friggin' crazy. And
could you tell me what item you're speaking to, please, on the consent agenda?
All of them. Because we have a broken election system and you guys do not work for us, and apparently you work for these corporations, other countries, and all that.
This is your first warning to make sure that you're staying on topic. It's important that everybody stays on topic. If you don't stay on topic, I'm going to not allow you to speak anymore, okay? So thank you.
Off. Explain to me where I was off. Explain to me where I was wrong. Please. You're donating money to other companies.
Justin, you have 10 seconds remaining if you have any further comments.
I'm waiting to find out where I was wrong, where I was off topic. But the cunt can't figure it out.
All right, so can you make sure, with that, that's his official, he was up talking, so I'm just going to read it just in case. So as the chairperson, I can rule a speaker is impeding the orderly conduct of the meeting and the comment off topic or otherwise unrelated to the agenda item under consideration, or if the speaker conducts violates any other provisions of these rules or procedures, and the speaker may forfeit the remaining time on that item. So I'm forfeiting his time for the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle here. I came to add my support to consent item 5. This is a returning item and has been discussed before regarding the need to expand the number of beds within the mental health substance abuse treatment care model. And as the description mentions, the hope is to add 49 more beds because often people in grave need end up in care beyond what they need because what lower level care isn't available to them. I'm somewhat experienced with that in behalf of my loved ones, so I welcome this. What continues to be concern to me and to many of us is that the focus is on the end result of not getting good preventive care in the beginning when our folks, our citizens, are young adults. And I would refer you to the Journal of Pediatrics that every month does a listing of the most recent studies about those things that are affecting the trajectory of our young people's lives, almost always related to drug use and almost always marijuana. The most recent one came out yesterday, October 7th, regarding marijuana being tied to worse school outcomes for teens. Imagine how being unsuccessful in school and feeling inadequate in an academic setting sets up a young person for bad choice making along the other pathways into adulthood. And they mentioned the most troubling aspect during this period of time is their use of marijuana, and that it is directly tied to their odds of receiving lower school grades and less chance of graduating with a diploma, and of course less likelihood of going to college.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth, item 1, $352,000 for Silvus Technologies radios. Is it really a request for bids if it's a sole source contract? Item 2, $1.7 million in WASI FUDDY money. A few concerning investments. 1, transport equipment for DAS. They don't actually use it for the abused network forces, forget it. And 2, a mass casualty apparatus for OES. What kind of casualty? Will that require extra training? Should the community be alarmed? Item 3, a $100,000 donation to DAS is how they've got plenty of money for dog patrols to 2 properties owned by only one couple, Deborah Berkeley and Craig Netwig. DAS officials have proven themselves incompetent, but things are going to have to change with that lawsuit against Deborah Berkeley from the state of California, right? But what about Craig Netwig? Does he get to escape justice simply because he put her name on everything but Kingley Technologies to protect the Impure Water Project? Item 5, a total of over $38 million debt dollars to lock up, hopefully Tara, not the homeless, into the county's prison day spots. Bets ahead, as UCSD's 3D illusion of depth, Nick Mascione calls it. On September 30th in Discover La Jolla, 3D Nick said, quote, the number of border falls has gone up dramatically. When the patients are brought in, they have no insurance or means of payment. It's not a sustainable solution. There's a lot of work we're trying to do with the county, state, and federal government. But in an election year, it's not catching a lot of attention, end quote. So 1, will this end up another county expense wasted on illegal migrants breaking our laws? 2, will UCSD get yet another public-private fascist contract to profit off the county? And 3, it's another lost revenue strategy to fraudulently move ARPA debt dollars over to another state project. No to all of the fraud. Item 6, no to Monica Stick of Yvette Porter-Moore to the Historic Site Board. From ABC 10 News, quote, Porter-Moore is in Sacramento to present her findings to the state. Just giving a testimony as to what genealogy will do for reparations, end quote. Using history for socialist redistribution of wealth is not a real historian. Political.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items in the consent calendar.
With that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to discussion items. We're going to hear discussion items in the following order. It'll be item number 10, 12, 14, 17, 9, 13, 8, 11, 15, and 16. We have a lot of items today, so I'm going to ask everyone to please make sure that you are focused, that you are stay on the action item. that you are speaking to. You will only get one warning, and if you don't follow the guidelines, you will be removed if you are disrupting the meeting. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 10, which is creating a unit dedicated to reproductive health, justice, and equity. Before I turn it over to public comment, I just want to share with folks why this item is before you, and then I'll ask for public comment. So as everybody knows, pregnancy and maternal care are vital aspects of reproductive health care. They're not only, but these are not the only components. Reproductive health care includes family planning, fertility service, sexual health services, menstrual health, gynecological care, gender-affirming care, prevention and treatment of gender bias-based violence, reproductive cancer screenings and treatment, and education and counseling. These are all the elements that collectively address the diverse needs of individuals across different stages of life and gender identity, ensuring access to essential care and support. These are all the services that folks are supposed to, they're supposed to get you to have a holistic approach promoting equity, health, and well-being for all individuals. On May 24th of 2022, as a board, we directed staff to conduct a comprehensive assessment of reproductive health care services offered by the county and county health contractors, including what are the barriers for care, opportunities to optimize services, expanding partnerships with providers, and identifying opportunities to address and reduce health disparities for the marginalized communities. There was an assessment that was done, and the county team worked really hard to provide this information. And treatment, they came back with some recommendations. And the assessment found that while there are many programs and social services are available from the county and from the community around reproductive health care services providers, conducting training to support county staff is important, and is also how do we make sure that we really have a center location to be able to ensure that people understand what services are available for them. And so the idea of this unit is really to ensure that there's an opportunity for us to bring all the resources together. I'm not trying to create, I'm not asking for additional funding for this initiative. This is really an opportunity for bringing all the resources together to really create a unit that is dedicated to reproductive health care justice, and it's a central hub, right, that provides opportunities to have healthier communities and drive systemic change. Creating a hub is going to enhance access to equity and outcomes in reproductive health, ensuring that all individuals can lead lives powered by their own decisions. And I'll just leave you with a specific data that I think is really important, especially for this county, in terms of the health care and the programs that we do already work on. And in 2021, Latinas experienced a maternal mortality rate of 28 per 100,000 live births, and individuals who identified as non-Hispanic Black and experienced maternal mortality rates at 69.9 deaths per 100,000 live births, which is 2.6 times the rate of non-Hispanic white women. And so the data is very clear about what the need is and how great that need is. And so I wanted to make sure that it's all centralized so that the constituents that we're trying to serve have a space to go. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but first I'll go ahead and turn it over to the public. And with that, I'll make a motion and ask for support for this item. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 10 requests to speak on this item, 3 in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 1 e-comment in opposition. Any individuals that requested to speak on item 10 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All speakers are in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I'd like to invite forward Oliver Twist, Mark, and allegedly Audra. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You're welcome to come forward in any order.
Oliver Twist, and first I just want to do a quick protest of these items continually be taken out of order. People plan their day, and I notice that the items get shuffled depending on what favored groups show up. So this is absolutely needs to have planning, and you could have announced it earlier, but you wait to make sure your group gets here before you make the announcement. If you are going to shuffle it, the time to do that is right after proclamations, and instead of leaving us scrambling. For this item for reproductive justice, I am for that, and that includes maternal care. What concerns me is the budget and any type of fiscal impact that this would have. This is from Ms. Shelton's chart that she presented on the update on the fiscal impacts and where the county is headed. For those who don't know, and please, correct me if I'm wrong, the county budget has ballooned in the past 5 years, going up by $1.9 billion with a B dollars. That's, for context, 30%. This is unsustainable. We do not need bigger government. We need better government that uses our taxpayer dollars more wisely. Also, I object to the language. Please do not erase women. Repeatedly, I keep seeing this. Pregnant people, it is pregnant women, so please use that language in alliance with even the World Health Organization that uses the term women. Lastly, the one thing I would like to see this agency concentrate on is the serious crisis we are facing with maternal health and the closure of maternal and obstetric wards for delivery. So I would like to see you focus HHSA on that endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, I'm not really opposed to this, except I'm not sure why you need a separate unit to perform this task. I mean, haven't we been doing this the entire time? Why do you need a separate unit? I'm sure that'll cost money to organize, and people will be paid. And anyway, yeah, I don't have too much to say about that, except, and calling it reproductive health. A lot of it is, but abortions are not reproductive health. And I'm not against people. I do not want the government involved in what a woman does with her body. That being said, if you were the person being aborted, no one would want abortion, period. But I have no problem with the government not being involved in that. In fact, actually, they are involved because they're helping pay for it. So anyway, yeah, a separate unit. Why?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My person uses the name Audra. It's, on the surface, things you do looks good, it does. But then it's like we're actually talking about death care as well, abortions, killing babies, ripping babies apart limb by limb, and then crushing their skull just to pull them out of the cavity that they're entrapped in, right? It's interesting. And then we also want to affirm insanity, saying that you can be some other gender. Like telling children, yes, you can be some other gender. And then again, like Mary was saying, erasing women, pregnant people. Only women can get pregnant. Only women. Just because a woman dresses or looks like a man doesn't mean it's a man. When you dig up these people hundreds of years from now, if the world is still around, who knows, because the way we're headed, it's not looking good because of stuff like this. So it's sad that you can call that health care, right? Reproductive health care. Oh, those poor babies, right? Just ripping their legs off. That's health care for you, right? Crushing their skull. It's health care. If I did that to one of you, what would that be considered? Health care? Or is it just for babies that we don't care about? And then we're like, well, we just want to make sure that if you're in the womb, you're taken care of, unless we murder you in there. It's so good the way that we can just like do such atrocious things and spend money on it and tell children that they can be something that they'll never be, causing more turmoil in their life once they realize that they'll never be a man if they're a woman, and they'll never be a woman if they're a man. But let's keep pushing insanity. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
all opposed. So, Nora, creating a new bureaucracy would have no fiscal impact? Dream on. I mean, you know, just because your budget is ballooning doesn't mean it won't be blown at some point. You want to create a, quote, centralized hub to coordinate reproductive health care resources, address the unique needs of the community through targeted programs and outreach, advocate for policies that improve access to care, support education on reproductive health issues, and facilitate collaboration among local organizations, with a mouthful, unquote. Isn't that what hospitals, pregnancy crisis centers, and medical centers like UCSD do now? Why do we need a new expensive, by the way, bureaucracy to manage this? This is an expensive proposal with potential for limited results. I do not think that's what we need. And how about replacing the pregnancy ward in Scripps Chula Vista that it discontinued? I mean, they got an award earlier for their hospital services, which I don't understand if they're not providing hospital services. And speak of health, we found out that 4-H was a county program had hard hands, health, and leadership as well. So does this even apply to the board? Are there any exceptions? Health in general is...
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller. Next caller is Consuelo. Your device might be muted.
Oh, yeah, it was. Okay, Consuelo, as you just said. Yeah, so that is so, talk about fuzzy-wuzzy. It's just so sad how Scripps gets these awards, and yeah, they have nowhere to have these reproductive whatever. I mean, as far as like, you know, if you are going ahead and having a baby at full term, well, you got to drive you got to drive a distance to give birth to that baby, because they're getting rid of these places for the women to deliver them at. It's nuts, man. It's so backwards. It's so shady. It's so gross. People need to start paying attention. And yeah, just as Paul stated earlier, I mean, creating a new bureaucracy would have, you don't need anything to be recreated. I mean, it's just dumb. This is so dumb. And what else do we have here? Yeah, I'm finished. It's retarded. I'm done.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hey, it's truth. Nora, if you're going to mix the agenda, at least say it slowly 2 times. I consider this a political pet project with a few psychotic disconnections. Example, what is referred to as gender-affirming care usually involves drugs or surgeries resulting in sterilization. It is the opposite of fertility, sexual health, menstrual health, gynecological care, or reproductive health, because there is no reproduction occurring. That's not a political, ideological statement. It's just science. Family planning, which is a euphemistic term created by racist eugenicists that actually means abortion, also cannot result in reproduction. Words matter, science matters, truth matters, feelings don't matter when it comes to facts. Any type of real justice has nothing to do with what this item refers to as economic and political conditions. Economics and politics do not mix with or result in justice. This item even suggests exactly that with a reference to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Even referring to the World Health Organization is hypocritical when that is proven to be a political organization that knows nothing about real justice. Even the WHO claim about American women either dying while pregnant or dying after they terminated their pregnancy is vague. Does that mean women are dying because they're getting abortions, or does it mean they're dying because they're in bad health while pregnant? We have a crisis of no real science. Then this item says that black women in the United States are by far the most likely to die from pregnancy or childbirth. But then in the next paragraph, it says the county assessment focused on pregnancies that are unintended, undesired, non-viable, and or a threat to the pregnant person's health. So the county did not focus on pregnant black women. Also, what is a non-viable pregnancy? Can we get a definition? Overall, this item sounds like the consequence of someone's campaign receiving donations from Planned Parenthood. Nora, well, Jim and Joe have no choice but to vote no. No to more county hubs of anti-science lies and death care to disempower targeted communities. No thanks.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right. So I don't see any.
I'll second.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. I don't think the board should be creating new units or departments. And if this is truly needed, I think it should come from our CAO's office. I understand we already provide most of these reproductive services, whether either directly or through our contractors. And one of the terms in here that we're also going to be providing gender-affirming care, which isn't defined, and I'm unclear if that includes support for surgery for minors, which I cannot support. So I just don't think the process of the board creating new units or departments from the diocese is wise. So I'm not going to be supporting the item, but thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
I'm happy to support this today. I think it is exactly our job to be creating new units, so I appreciate you bringing this forward. I think it's the role of our board to identify where we should be focusing, and I think the chairwoman identified that we're doing a lot already on this issue, but it could really benefit from some coordination and making sure that all our efforts are going in the same direction and that we're really being strategic. So I think it's a great idea, and I hope that when we do identify that person, I appreciate the sort of budget neutral approach. I think that's really smart, and I'll be really excited to see what kind of ideas they come up with. I think that we could probably do a lot to amplify what we're already doing to stand for women's reproductive health in our county. So thank you for bringing this, and very excited to vote yes today.
Thank you. With that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes with Supervisor Anderson and Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item number 12. It's the expansion of the Emergency Air Quality Improvement Relief Procurement and Distribution of Air Purifiers related to the South Bay Tijuana River Valley pollution crisis. I will go ahead and turn it over to the public and then share additional information.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 13 requests to speak on this item, 5 in person and 8 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we received 12 e-comments, all in favor. Any individuals that requested to speak on item 12 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Jack Hsu, Clayton Howard, and Mitchell McKay. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Jack Hsu from the City of La Mesa, and I'm fortunate enough to serve on the Air Pollution Control District Board and chair that board. So as a consequence of that, I've gotten to know what this terrible thing that's happening along the border is doing to our community. Thank you, Supervisor Vargas, for bringing this item forward. In this community, the need for relief is really, we need it as soon as possible. This MOU will allow us to work together between APCD and the county to make air purifiers, air filters available to the community as soon as possible. In this kind of disaster, it doesn't matter what public agency does the work. It does not matter who provides what or where the money comes from. The community needs support and relief as soon as possible. And I'm happy that this motion, this MOU is being proposed so the APCD and the county can work together to make this happen, to make the funding, regardless of where it's from, whether it's EPA or from CARB, that we find a way to work together to make it happen and make these air purifiers purchased as soon as possible. We need a lot more than the initial batch that has been provided. So with that, I really am thankful that we can work together between APCD and the county to make this happen. You know, ultimately, we want to make sure the community is involved. I think I can say with some pride that the APCD is working very hard to that end, together with the county and together with the county health department. So thank you very much, Supervisor Vargas, for putting this forward. I look forward to seeing both the county and the APCD work together to make sure that we use our funds as soon as we can to bring relief and get these filters to the community. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Clayton Howard. I live less than a quarter mile from the epicenter of all this toxic sludge. The air filters that you guys distributed last time, the lottery system was a joke. So I'm hoping that when you guys pass this, that the system will be able to distribute them efficiently and that they will be hospital grade to be able to filter out all of the toxins, especially the hydrogen sulfide, which I suffer from every single day. I breathe it in. And it's sad that I have to breathe it in, and that you guys got to get more air filters, especially the right quality, the right type of filters, as well as the filters to go with it. Because if you continuously run them for 24 hours a day, you're going to be burning through filters quickly. So hopefully, you guys will be able to get the funding done and adequate filters to last the lifetime of those air purifiers. Because it's absurd that it's taken this long to get air purifiers for residents, and to also for people who are closer to the epicenter, for them to be prioritized. Because last time the lottery was everybody from Chula Vista, just all over the place getting them, and it wasn't prioritized for people who are suffering, especially families. You know, one of my pastor friends, it was his son's birthday a few weeks ago, and he couldn't even blow out the birthday candles on his cake because of how bad the air is. You know how sad that is, watching an 11-year-old boy who can't even blow out the candles on his birthday cake because of how bad the air is, and they weren't able to get any air purifiers because they weren't picked in the lottery. So it's like, ooh, we're going to be lucky, so let's do the lottery again, and oh, I may get lucky, I may get one, or I may not get one. And that's my major concern, is that you guys got to prioritize folks that have health ailments, especially families of small children, so that they'd be able to get these air purifiers hospital grade, which we're talking about. They're going to be $1,000 a piece, not these $300 to $400 ones from Blue Air, which are limited on what they can capture. We need hospital grade filtration.
Thank you. Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the speakers in opposition, Mark and allegedly Audra.
Good morning, esteemed board members. Mitch McKay, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Imperial Beach. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you and speak today in support of this proposal. Obviously, as the previous speaker mentioned, there is certainly a need for prioritization based on the epicenter, where we know the problem is the greatest, but also prioritization based on health conditions of the individuals, whether they be elderly or those with breathing conditions or other health situations that require these air purifiers. Again, as was mentioned, we need to make sure they're the right kind of purifiers with the right kind of filters. And so I would fully support this item. Again, we request that the City of Imperial Beach be rolled into that activity, and that possibly we could work together and provide some input on residents that we think that are at most risk or high risk, including the elderly, children. And so I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And again, I'm in support of this motion fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, so this is a complete, it's really insulting to the people down there near the border. the air purifiers, I'm not even sure how that would help in a house that has no air conditioning. I don't know what the purifier is meant to attach to. But anyway, you look at it, you guys have done nothing to address the actual problem. Now, while I'll admit that this is really a national problem, it's a reflection of how bad our administration is that you even have to deal with this, and it wasn't taken care of immediately. Because obviously, government as a whole, including your subsidiary corporation, doesn't care about the people down there and hasn't for decades. And the way they're living is appalling. And the people in La Jolla would be absolutely flipping out the first day, and they would not stop. And you would do something, but of course it's not La Jolla. So, also, I'm not even sure that Nora might have a conflict of interest. She's from Mexico. She was born and partially raised there. I don't really, obviously this task involves being very stern with Mexico because there are corporations down there. I read an article recently that said there were Chinese corporations that were emitting chemicals. And it's going to take a very stern attitude with the Mexican government to demand that they not do this. Robert had a really good idea. He said, stop the trade and they'll end the problem in one day. And he's right. It's billions of dollars of money, and they would stop the pollution instantly. But you guys are doing nothing, absolutely nothing.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My person uses the name Audra. The reason why they won't, because they love that money. Don't really care about people. People are dispensable, right? I mean, can't be stern with Mexico. That would be wrong, wouldn't it? How sad is it, though, you're like, we're going to provide some more air purifiers. Like, how about you do it for all the people instead of having to pick and choose? Like, if I told you guys there's only one face mask, which one of you guys is going to get it? Wonder who's going to grab it first, right? Wouldn't it be equitable if all of you got one? I don't know. It depends if the plane's going down or not. But it's just interesting because it's like, how cool would it be if FEMA didn't just give you guys $19.6 million for a migrant transfer site, right? And it was able to go to help these people? How cool would that be? But that's not the point, right? We have to divert the funds from FEMA from being able to take care of disasters and give it to the invasion that's happening on our border. How cool, right? All while people are suffering. It's good. I mean, it just shows where the priorities are at. I mean, there's just never enough money to really help people and make sure that they're safe and that they're living in good conditions. Right, Nora? But you said that the air is safe, right? Then why do we need these purifiers? It's weird. I don't understand that. But it took you guys long enough to pretend to do something. This is decades-old stuff. And you think the air purifiers is going to really do the trick. I think you all should just go live down there, right in the heart of it, and just see if an air purifier is enough. But I don't know. I mean, there might not be enough air purifiers for you guys to have one. Yes, Andrew, my time is almost up. I know. It's like, dang it. Why do we have to give them 2 minutes? That's a long time.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We will start with our first caller. First caller is Paul DeBold. Your device might be muted. And we'll come back to you.
Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Molly Daly, and I am the Legislative Fellow for the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. We are pleased to support this item and to continue working with the county on the procurement and distribution of air purifiers for residents of the Tijuana River Valley. SDA-PCD recognizes the urgency of this crisis and is pursuing this air purifier program in an attempt to provide much-needed relief to local residents. As was noted in the board letter for this item, SDAPCD is developing a plan for continuation of this program and will be bringing that plan back to our governing board at its November 14th meeting. In the meantime, we have been working with county staff on an agreement to transfer funds from the U.S. EPA to the county for a continuation of its program. Beyond that, we have also identified funding for the longer-term program with the assistance of CARB and Chairwoman Vargas. This funding is intended to provide up to 10,000 purifiers to local residents. SDAPCD is taking the lead on this program, and we have an internal team that has started the procurement process for the remainder of the purifiers and is working with local community-based organizations and schools to establish distribution events. Again, we will provide our detailed plan for this program to our board in November. The preparation work is already well underway. We look forward to continuing to work with the county on this vital effort, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller. Next caller is Consuelo. Your device might be muted.
Got it. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Got it. So, yeah, government, they create the chaos. So here's the heroes. Again, Nora Vargas said, the air is safe. So why the need for purifiers? The real question is, why do the people continue to depend on the same people, the same person who actually admitted that she could have done something about this stuff decades ago? Why? And as far as this happening in South County versus La Jolla, you know what? It really doesn't matter, because they don't listen to it. Doesn't matter what demographic. We're all being screwed. And the thing is, you know, a lot of these people don't have time to protest and constantly be paying attention, because that's the design of the rat race. And quite frankly, you know, the people who are supposedly their representatives, as I mentioned at a SANDAG meeting, you people should be having the people that you supposedly represent, your constituents, have them come in, have them paying attention to what goes on. Things like this, you only come in to represent your people when you are directly affected. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like, oh, it's just affecting me. Now, every single being in our county that's directed by something negative, it affects us all. And that's what we have to start getting. It's not a bipartisan. It is a bipartisan issue. It's like red, blue, green, and everything in between. They don't care. They don't care about us, and they're not working for us. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but that's what's so. So it's all being seamlessly orchestrated, and the people who are paying close attention appear like loonies, because we are, in fact, seeing what they're doing and how they're getting away with it. And it's all for safety, it's all for equity, it's all for sustainability, it's all bullshit. And that is what's so. Pay attention, San Diego. It's going to get really bad, super bad.
Thank you. And I hear from the next caller.
All bold. Hope you can hear me now.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thanks. The requested amount seems to have been increased a bit, but I'm glad it won't be a loan that depletes the reserve. The letter says it's just not there yet, so I'm not sure why we're directing the CEO now to execute an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, for funding, let alone distributing the air purifiers. Not a good idea to put future ideas into present action, except during election season, perhaps. ABC News on October 2nd reported that some residents in South Bay said this smell is getting a bit better. So hopefully this reduces the need for air purifiers. But as I said before over and over about air purifiers, they're good indoors, but once you step outdoors, the toxic air will get you. I hope that some funding can go to cheap and creative solutions like making soda poured on waste to reduce the hydrogen sulfide or lime. We'll do the same thing. But the funding needs to be in place before you act. And the last distribution of air purifiers in a lottery was absolutely ridiculous. Nora, I hope you're listening to some of the speakers. A lot of them had good ideas. You know, if you actually do distribute air purifiers, they should go to the people who need it, not just people from all over or in a lottery or whatever. So, you know,
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
It's truth. If I was there in person, I would have sat next to Mitch and activists. Now, even though at a Sandag meeting, Nora had the audacity to ask other financially struggling cities to buy air purifiers, all of a sudden, now there's $2.3 million for air purifiers. Kind of like Mexico suddenly turning on the pump station switch, or how the San Diego City Council finally asked their D.C. colleagues in crime to declare a state of emergency. Election season, political theater. But the federal government abandoned the South Bay a long time ago in a pattern that stretched East Palestine, Ohio, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And I could say the exact same for this board. Nora and Tara have had 4 years to work on this and have achieved nothing. I personally have made more advancement on this issue with my idea to withhold the future Otay Mesa East toll from Mexico, or even with my idea that every city pass a resolution in support of Imperial Beach's resolution to dedicate a portion of that toll to fund wastewater infrastructure. And I'm taking credit just to make a point. If I can make that type of progress without even being in office, and in less than 1 year, then it proves that you, Nora and Tara, have failed your constituents. Tara, you never said one word about this environmental emergency until this election season. And Nora, whatever it is you claim to have been doing for 20 or 30 years, it clearly hasn't worked. You consented to parroting Newsom's and the EPA's everything safe lie, and still neither will declare a state of emergency. For these alleged air purifiers, what kind of air filter? Is it charcoal? Is it going to be another stupid lottery raffle? Why isn't there going to be money for them out of the county's $8.5 billion budget rather than waiting on the state or federal government? Maybe supervisors shouldn't have wasted who knows how many millions on supporting illegal migrants. And what's the long-term plan? Because I'm out of patience for Nora Band-Aids. Nora missed the last 2 county meetings for American constituents, but she made sure to show up for the mayor of Tijuana at Sandag. This pattern is why nobody should hold their breath from the EPA sewage, because they probably won't reimburse the county for these air purifiers. It is negligent. That's
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. So I want to just share with folks that, you know, when I introduced this program, it was an emergency board letter to procure emergency purifiers last time around to address this issue. And we were able to allocate about $100,000 with the funding and purchase about 414 of the CARB certified air purifiers and 2 replacement filters for each of the folks that were able to get it from the community. And so obviously there was a high demand and the program has been successful, but I'm going to ask through our ACAO if we can share a little bit more detail about what the process was in terms of the lottery and how that took place and who was included in it, please.
Absolutely, Chairwoman. Thank you for the question. I'll turn it over to Davia Lynch, our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Chairwoman and Caroline. The process, the outreach was focused on those who are most vulnerable, for example, those who are living under the poverty line with children or elderly in the home. So we started on that basis. As you mentioned, we did distribute over 400 purifiers. There are about 3,000 folks on our list in total who are interested. If you'd like any additional information, we do have Eden Bruckman, our Chief Sustainability Officer, who can talk a little bit more about that process.
I don't have any additional questions at this time, but I do want to remind folks it was a pilot program that that was the goal, that we demonstrate that it worked and that people really wanted it. And so as a result, there's like, as has been mentioned, over 3,000 people who are still on the list. And so As a board and as a community, we've been asking for additional funding from the EPA, from CARB, and the governor's office. And so as a result, there is, we've been able to secure another $2 million of funding for this program. And so what you have before you is an opportunity to ensure that we're able to expand. So it includes Imperial Beach, the communities of Nestor, and also the communities of that are surrounding areas as well within the Tijuana River Valley. And so that is why today I'm asking for us to accept this, and it's an MOU between the county and San Diego and APCD to make sure that we're able to distribute these. And about a week or two ago, we also made a couple of motions at APCD to ensure that we are doing everything we can so that we're monitoring this in partnership with APCD, and it's going to take all of us to work together to make sure that we do that. In the, this is only one of the many things that we're doing in a much more comprehensive initiatives to make sure that once and for all, people in our communities are able to not only breathe clean air, but are able to be in clean beaches, because in the end, the real issue is the infrastructure on the Mexican side of the border. And so we're going to continue to do that. And with that, I'm making a motion asking my colleagues to support this recommendation with, it has 5 different points to make sure that we are basically able to continue to work with the federal, state, and local government agencies and stakeholders so we can distribute these funds, air filters for the community. So with that, my motion is before you. Thank you. Vice Chair Lawson-Weaver?
Sure. This is great. First of all, I appreciate the initial impetus to bring the pilot. I know we didn't have a lot of money at the time, but we just said, okay, let's make something happen. You took the initiative. Obviously proved there was a massive demand. So now I think it's great that we've been able to get additional funding from the EPA and from CARB to get these air filters out to the community as quickly as possible. Also just want to express my appreciation to some of the cities in my district, especially Solana Beach, who's been trying to raise some money from their own communities to donate a little bit to the air filter purchasing effort. So thank you to some of the North Coastal cities for trying to put some funds together to help our friends and neighbors in the South. And I think we all are working really hard for longer term solutions, but this is a great thing that we have to do to kind of deal with the immediate urgent air quality situation. So just thanks for making it happen. I know there were a lot of kind of like technical moving parts to figure out how to get the money from here to there and get it to the county to distribute, and I appreciate the chair's work on the technical back end that I think is often invisible to a lot of folks. So thank you. Happy to support this today.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you, colleagues. The next item on the agenda is item number 14. Resolution, it feels like 40. Resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the County of San Diego to declare its support for Proposition 4 on the November 2024 ballot. Thank you. To pass the Safe Drinking Water, Wildfire Prevention, Drought Preparedness, and Clean Air Bond Act of 2024. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 10 requests to speak on this item, 3 in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. I also note that we received 3 e-comments in favor. Any individuals that requested to speak on item 14 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker, starting with the individual in favor, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand in the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I'd like to invite forward Charles Riley, followed by Mark, and allegedly Audra. If you've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record.
Good morning. My name is Charles Riley, and I'm here on behalf of the San Diego chapter of the Sierra Club, representing more than 13,000 members here in San Diego and Imperial County. I want to speak in support of Proposition 4, and I'd like to thank Chair Vargas for bringing this forward today. The Sierra Club supports this proposition as it represents a crucial investment in our natural resources and climate resilience, authorizing the state to issue a $10 billion bond aimed at addressing urgent environmental needs. With this measure, we can expect significant strides in several key areas. In the water supply and flood management area, there is nearly $3.8 billion earmarked to enhance both the quality and quantity of our water, repair vital infrastructure, and mitigate flooding risks. As we've seen here today, there are a lot of different concerns with water quality here in the San Diego region. In wildfire prevention, this will focus on improving forest health, protecting our ecosystems, and reinforcing safety measures for communities at risk from wildfires. For coastal protection, with rising sea level threatening our coastal regions, Proposition 4 allocates money to restore efforts in the protection of vulnerable shorelines. In the parks and recreational area, the investment will enhance recreational opportunities, allow us to expand and renovate our parks while addressing the impacts of climate change. And lastly, but not least, on the Tijuana River, the climate bond will help to earmark money for an already polluted and vulnerable Tijuana River Valley. These funding allocations highlight a comprehensive approach to environmental stewardship. Importantly, the measure mandates that at least 40% of the bond funds benefit lower-income communities, an essential step toward achieving environmental justice. This commitment also mirrors a provision in the Inflation Reduction Act, which has helped to create hundreds of thousands of green jobs. I stand in support of Proposition 4 to meet the moment when it comes to climate justice. We need to invest now to save our planet for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, your overview states Californians are feeling the impacts of a changing climate from devastating wildfires, et cetera. First of all, that's a lie. There is climate change that does exist. There are many absolute experts, the highest in the field, that have said that climate change, as it's being used by the government, is a scam. Climate change does exist. The climate changes. It's caused by the sun and solar changes. John Coleman of KUSI, people can see this YouTube video, and he describes what a scam it is. He's only meteorologist of the year, okay? And the co-founder of the Weather Channel. So don't pay any attention to him, just the world's highest authority. And then there's some other YouTube videos with these titles. Also, you'll want to see William Happer. His credentials are just incredible. And Happer's Happer. You can put him in on YouTube in global warming or climate change and see what he has to say about it. Also, Judith Curry. These are very reputable, educated people, highly respected. What they're not talking about at all is the Smithsonian magazine stated in an article that they felt 85% of the fires are caused by people. And I agree. That pretty much accounts for the tenfold increase. And who has the greatest, if you were in a court, they'd look for motive. Who has the greatest motive? Well, the UN and the WEF, World Economic Forum, openly, who have joined forces together to do UN goals, to get people out of the rural areas. And what better way for billionaires to pay some people to set fires and then raise the insurance, the companies they own, raise their insurance, they can't be there. This is how climate is controlled. See that video?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My person uses the name Audra. How cool would that be if this was actually going to do something good? Too bad our elections are totally rigged too. But yeah, so pass the safe drinking water. And all these other things. But putting toxins in water and poisons is pretty much not safe. Fluoride, right, it's a neurotoxin, but it's like, it's safe to drink. We're gonna give you back your own poo. We're gonna poo in a cup, filter it out, and give it right back to you. It's so good, right? It's safe, just like vaccines are safe and effective. And then wildfire prevention and drought preparedness. This wasn't all intentional, and domestic terrorism happening upon the people through weather modification and all of these things, right? But we don't want to admit that happens because it doesn't fit into our climate God agenda. right? But if we could actually give people safe drinking water, if we could make sure that weather warfare doesn't happen, like the storm that happened in January, like the storms happening now on the East Coast. Why are there patents for hurricanes? It's so weird. You can't patent anything in nature, but you can patent domestic terroristic acts so that, you know, we can perpetrate these on the people. It's nice, because if you guys actually cared, you would go like, we want to make sure there's no cloud seeding happening. We want to make sure we're going to drill for water and give people back actual pure water, not totally toxic waste and poisons that are going to affect their health. And there isn't a drought, it's intentional. You have to control all the resources to control the people. And that's exactly what's happening, because if you guys cared about people, you would ensure that stopped. So there could be environmental justice, not just the propaganda you guys spew from the United Nations.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
All bold. I'm not sure why you want to waste your time on number 14. With all the interest groups the bill covers, it's sure to pass anyway. Oh yes, it's election season. Clean air. You haven't been able to clean up the TJ River Valley air or Pottery Kiln air for how many years? The polluters should pay. We taxpayers should not just fund more and more bonds. What is the good of a bond if the polluters can just buy a vote or a judge to get out of remediating the crap they put in the air? Sort of like Craig Network and the horses. He's apparently so important to government he can get away with murder. Safe drinking water. The water already has a high level of toxic chlorine or chlorine. Do we need more chemicals? More side effects? Wildfires. The huge fire amplifiers like that. One of them is reignited. Another huge fire we know was caused by someone throwing EV into a canyon. Maybe we should do something about EVs instead of less dangerous vehicles. Droughts. We've had serial droughts forever. In fact, that's why San Diego started the airplane industry, because there were so many droughts it didn't rain. So we've had them forever. Are we not prepared? So, I mean, just say no. Let's get rid of plastic. Yes, climate change is a hoax that occurs mainly because of natural stuff like volcanoes, geomagnetic stuff, pulling water out of the ground.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Consuelo. Yeah, and as far as our safe drinking water, I mean, you know, it doesn't help when you have the skies being sprayed with who knows what. Well, we know what. But, and then, like, what do you think that stuff falls down on? It falls down into our water that's already highly toxic and has a ton of chemicals, toxic chemicals, like fluorine and chlorine. And it's just amazing. I mean, you can fly people down. You can fly doctors down from who worked in Flint, Michigan, on what happened there. You can do all this stuff. But it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that they are doing all of this on purpose. And as Paul mentioned, as far as the clean air, yeah, you haven't been able to clean up the TJ River Valley air. And it's, I mean, again, the people have to pay, but yet the polluters are, you know, I mean, the polluters are the ones who get away with it. And it's just, it's unfortunate. It's so disgusting. It's like these people who are highly connected, well-connected, are getting away with murder. It's disgusting. And, yeah, gosh, I just want to encourage the people to not be discouraged
because there's so much we can do. It's the usuals who come in here and speak these truths, but it's going to take a whole lot more, and we can change. We can definitely shift where the direction is going, because the direction is not in the favor of the people of where we're headed. It's really to our demise and not our success. Look up, pay attention to what they're doing to our skies, look around, pay attention to what they're doing to our infrastructure, because it's no bueno. That's all I got.
Thank you. I'll now hear from the final caller.
It's troops, no to wasting county tax dollars on telling county residents how to vote. Campaign on your own dime. The only thing Californians are feeling is parasitic politicians that sell them lies about a changing climate, a.k.a. the climate cult, to justify destroying the economy with new restrictions and new taxes, reducing life to the dark ages with new control mechanisms on driving, air conditioning, heat, electricity, gas, and other essential advances in human life, and ironically, destroying the environment with non-recyclable toxic lithium infrastructure and fire-prone lithium batteries. How many of these devastating wildfires have been caused due to the dirty energy lithium battery fires? The county's crazy policies have created faux preventable emergencies that have resulted in severe environmental, economic, and property damages. But who's benefiting from all of this? This item calls them the community stakeholders. It's possible to translate that to SDG&E, SIMPRA, the politicized unions, and the politicians that rely on campaign donations from those entities. And it's possible to translate the climate bond name to climate debt, because that's what it really is. $10 billion in more debt racked up by the state. How many more taxes would that translate to in order to pay off? But Newscomb threw a little bone in there for the South Bay, a measly $50 million for some watershed projects that would most likely be built just like the promised bullet train. Never. And compare that small amount to $850 million for dirty toxic lithium energy, where dirt cheap labor would extract lithium from places like East Tennessee with a $141 million grant from the federal government, or the 10 spodumene belt in North Carolina by companies like Piedmont Lithium or Albemarle Corporation, the latter of which got $90 million from the federal government's Defense Production Act Title III to extract lithium, which can result in toxic chemicals like arsenic poisoning the land. Has enough tax dollars not been given to toxic lithium? How many regular people can even afford fire-prone EVs? No to toxic Prop 4 that make us all poor. Thank you. No climate debt.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. That concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone that spoke on this item. I think everyone knows that the excessive heat events for this summer and the devastating floods that we've experienced last winter are just two of the recent examples of the impact climate change is having in our community. These extreme weather events harm our communities in countless ways, displacing people from their homes, schools, and businesses, and creating numerous risks to human health. When it comes to issues related to climate change impact on our communities, the research is indisputable. Communities of color, low-income neighborhoods, and medically vulnerable individuals bear the brunt of the extreme heat exposure, poor air quality, and lack of clean water. The EPA has found that particularly Latino communities, individuals are much more likely living in areas with the highest increase in childhood asthma due to climate change impacts on air quality. They see the highest rates of labor hour losses for weather-exposed workers due to extreme temperatures, and experience the highest increase in traffic delays associated with flooding. It is time now for us to use all the available tools available for solutions to build a climate resilient San Diego that is centered on equity and ends environmental racism and ensures the need of our most vulnerable communities. The climate bond proposition on item 4, proposition 4 on the November ballot is one of the tools that we need to be using. It was informed by many years of community engagement, including multiple listening sessions with folks on the ground facing climate challenges every day and input from stakeholders throughout the state who shared the unique climate resilience needs for individuals. For us here in San Diego County, I want to thank the delegation, the California delegation, for pushing, and particularly Assemblymember Garcia, for his support in ensuring that there was $50 million for the Tijuana River Valley watershed projects and New River water quality, public health, and River Parkway Development Program, $48 million for the San Diego Rivers Conservancy for climate resilient projects, and another $25 million for the San Diego Rivers Conservancy and Watershed Improvement, Wildfire Resilience, Chaparral, and Forest Restoration and Workforce Development. So these are very specific allocations. There are many other statewide allocations that will also benefit the county communities. And while there is cost associated with any bond funding, the climate bond is estimated to result in savings for the county by investing now in prevention efforts that will reduce the risk and amount of damage for future disaster. We can afford to make these investments. So with that, I'm committed to finding solutions and pursuing every avenue to build a climate resilient future for our San Diego communities, and declaring this board's support on the climate board will help us achieve that goal. With that, I'd like to make a motion to support this item. Thank you. A motion and a second. Supervisor Desmond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. Proposition 4, to me, is a consequence of state government incompetence and budget mismanagement. The state doesn't have a revenue problem. They have a spending problem. Now, albeit I like the $50 million here for the Tijuana River Valley, but if the whole $10 billion was going towards that, maybe we could fix it. But the state has a $300 billion budget, and $10 billion going towards drinking water and wildfire prevention. Those are the basic functions of government. That should be the priority in the first place, instead of having to go back to the taxpayers, ask them for a bond. We're going to end up paying on the $10 billion about $16 billion for it once it's all paid off. I think all of these things are great. Safe water, wildfire protection, coastal lands, clean, all of these things are good, but these should be the priorities in the first place, not asking us to do it, pay for it twice. So I think the bonds are a very expensive way to go to fund the government. The state's going to have a $78 billion deficit, the state already has a $78 billion bond deficit and faces a $56 billion deficit. I think they got to get back to basics and prioritize things like clean water ahead of having to go to the taxpayers again to provide those services. So, I like the Tijuana portion of it. I think it's too small, and I think this is actually supporting irresponsible government from the state. Thank you.
All right. With that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes with Supervisor Anderson and Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is item number 17. We'll take this item, and then after this item, we'll take a half an hour lunch and then come back with item number 9. The item number 17 is community engagement for the Migrant Transition Day Center. I know we have a couple of folks that are speaking to this item, but I wanted to make sure that I explain to folks why this item is before us today. It's important for me that there is community engagement for the Migrant Transition Day Center because it's extremely important as we move forward that we are really thinking about not only the residents and the families and the organizations on the ground that really understand the challenges firsthand. I want to thank our community-based organizations and our coalition partners who have tirelessly worked to allocate equitable solutions for migrants and asylum seekers. Your voices are embedded in the design of this board letter. As I mentioned to someone, I remember getting that call in the evening to try to help support folks when people were in great need and during the rapid response network that was created a couple of years ago. And so for me, it's important that the services that we provide at the center not only meet basic needs, but they meet the people where they are physically and emotionally. This means ensuring that food is not only nutritious, but culturally responsive, recognizing the dietary needs of diverse groups and immigrants. And it also means providing services in native languages for those that we're serving, reducing confusion and delays in onward travel. Most importantly, it means offering trauma-informed care that acknowledges the hardship migrants have endured and creating an environment of dignity and respect. This is about providing a meal and a safe space, and about cultural responsiveness, about understanding what trauma looks like for each folks. Our goal is to ensure that migrants have access to legal, health, and mental health services by coordinating efforts and avoiding duplication of any services. And so we're creating a system that works effectively and meets the needs of vulnerable population and supports work for our local organizations. Central to this model is the priority of onward travel. Our intake process will be efficient, focusing on coordinating travel as quickly as possible to reduce the strain on resources and ensure that asylum seekers can move forward to their final destination. This includes providing resources at key travel hubs like airports and bus stations with staff. Wi-Fi and packed meals will be available to help our migrants navigate the next steps of their journey. So I want to emphasize that this is not just a bullet letter. This is really a commitment to make sure that everyone is treated with dignity and humanity, and to ensuring that every migrant who comes to our county is treated with care and respect that they deserve. It's very important that communities' voices are part of this process, and the engagement of all of you is going to be key to make sure that we are reflecting the values that we share for vision, compassion, and coordinated response. So everyone who has been involved so far, I want to thank them for all of the work that they've done, and particularly a lot of the local nonprofit groups that have been at the forefront addressing this issue. And with that, I'll open it up for public comment, then when we come back, I'll make a motion. Oh, okay, so for the remaining agenda items, do you want to read it or do you want to read it? Okay, here, you can read it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. For the remaining agenda items where we have 10 or more speakers, in accordance with the rules, the speaking time will be limited to 1 minute. Again, any items with 10 or more speakers, individuals will get 1 minute to speak. For this item, for item 17, we have 24 requests to speak, 16 in person and 8 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we received 2 e-comments in favor. Any individuals that requested to speak on item 17 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I'll be calling you in groups of 3, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. And again, because we have 10 or more speakers on this item, you'll be limited to 1 minute. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. I'd like to first invite forward Catherine Rhodes, Randy Torres Van Vleck, and Daniela Alvarado. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, Catherine Rhodes, and I'm very supportive of this, of course, being from South America myself. And so one thing that I do have a problem with is the minors, the unaccompanied minors that were lost, that came across our border, probably here in San Diego, and now they're like missing children somewhere. So what I think you guys should do, this is what I think, somebody should do something, is maybe you should have CPS go out there for all the unaccompanied children and make sure that they're safe and they're going to somewhere safe. So I know that they're going to somewhere safe, because right now, nobody knows. It's a mystery where these children are going. Shouldn't you have like a list of all the children who come into San Diego, and before they leave San Diego, you know their name? I think you should even give them some, have DNA testing for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Randy Torres Van Vleck, and I'm the Associate Director of Community and Housing Development at PANA, also a proud resident of District 4. We'd like to thank the board for placing this item on the agenda in response to community concerns about potential misalignment with the board's direction, as well as the health and safety of vulnerable populations. The board has emphasized the importance of community collaboration in all aspects of its work. By awarding contracts to an out-of-state entity, we are diverting funds that could stay within San Diego to support local jobs and foster growth in our nonprofit sector. Local nonprofits to date have been doing the work to provide multilingual engagement and support for our migrant communities here in SD. We encourage you to support a strategy that prioritizes local expertise and coordinates a regional response across organizational efforts to ensure a durable and sustainable response. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers: Dean Sheik, Lucky Aiden, and Hazim Wakas. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, good morning. My name is Daniela Alvarado, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at PANA. Nice to see you all this morning. We, alongside other local NGOs, have been supporting recently arrived migrants by providing translation support, food, shelter, connection to medical care, transportation, and a lot of other essential services. There have been even times where some of our volunteers have had to take people home because there was no other housing opportunities for them. Outsourcing this responsibility to a company that's not familiar with our region is going to jeopardize the well-being of many vulnerable populations. Keeping these funds local strengthens our community's infrastructure and supports the organizations that have already been doing the work here in San Diego. The county must use these funds to see local long-term sustainability. There isn't a need to create a new infrastructure because one already exists.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Lucky Aiden, and I'm the youth organizer at PANA. Firstly, we'd like to thank the board for placing agenda item number 17 on the agenda in response to community concerns about potential misalignment with the board's direction and staff analysis. For the past year, I've been providing ground support at the airport to asylum seekers. I've been providing support to over 2,000 migrants in one day with assistance with food, flight assistance, reconnecting with families, and other basic needs. We have the local expertise, and diverse organizations are coordinating together on how to support these vulnerable populations. The county must invest these critical efforts and be partner to those efforts and promote a long-term sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Dean Schick. I'm a project manager at PANA, and I would like to thank the board for having this agenda on this hearing. I just want to say local NGOs bring invaluable expertise in delivering trauma-informed care, absolutely necessary service that truly address the health and safety needs of migrants. By supporting these dedicated organizations, we ensure that vulnerable populations receive compassionate, tailored support they deserve, rather than outsourcing these crucial responsibilities to unfamiliar entities. Together, we can create more welcoming, supportive environment for all. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers. Ramka Sahid, Ramo Tani Abdi, and Mustafa Azami. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Hazim Wakas. I'm the community organizer for PANA. I'd just like to say that the awarded, and I would like to thank you for placing item 17 on the agenda. I would like to say that the awarded contract must align with the county-state equity goals and commitment to community collaboration. The contract must also include provisions for ongoing transparency and accountability to ensure that services provided are in line with the board's directives and serve the best interest of the community. We've been helping a lot of community members in the airports and even outside who are struggling with a lot of problems. They come here, they don't know where to go, they are struggling with food and shelter and all of that. So we've been trying to really help them out, and we'd like to keep the funding for the non-profit organizations is really helping out all these people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, and thank you so much. We really appreciate the board's attention to this issue. It's been a long time.
Can you please state your name?
Ramla Sahid, the executive director of PANA. We've been working together over the past almost, if not already, 2 years with multiple organizations. Sandy, I'm proud of our response. Our organizations have truly stepped up and come together without funding. We should learn from our experience. We should build on the existing infrastructure and to sustain durable solutions that we know we can handle. We shouldn't outsource critical humanitarian services to a for-profit out-of-town agency. That is our bottom line, I think. I think we all agree. I think there are also organizations that are willing to work together, to come together, to figure it out. I think hosting a task force or a strategy session to think about how we align existing services, how we align current services so that it is supported.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Rahma Abdi. I'm the director of organizing with PANA and also a proud resident of District 4. I want to thank the board for placing item 17 on the agenda in response to the concern for the community, in response to community concern. The board has emphasized that the importance of our community collaboration in all aspects of its work. When decisions are made, we must focus on fostering our local nonprofit organization and who has collaborated and pooled their capacity, shifting resources and staff time to respond to immediate humanitarian needs for asylum seekers. This includes providing food, shelter, medical care, transportation, and other essential services to the migrant. Without this sustainable solution and coordinated regional strategy, this organization is already failing. The risk of staff burnout may soon be reach breaking points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the next speakers coming forward, I'd like to invite additional speakers, Patrick Serrano and Askari Abdul Mundagim. Apologize for mispronouncing the name.
Hello, my name is Mustafa Azami, a community organizer with Partnership for the Advancement of New Americans and a dedicated volunteer at the airport for almost 1 year. I provide essential services to migrants, including food, shelter, and transportation. Recently, I encountered an Afghan family with 2 young children at the airport. One of was very sick. They were in dire need of healthcare, shelter, and food. So I took the initiative to contact community volunteer groups to secure assistance for them. I'm happy to report that the family has now settled and received the support they required. It's crucial for the county to utilize these funds to establish long-term sustainability and infrastructure moving beyond just emergency responses. We cannot only rely on community mutual aid. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I'm Askari Abdul Muntakam. I am a post-conviction specialist with Pillars of the Community, and I wouldn't presume to be able to tell anybody how to rule or deal with issues on migrants or migration or anything of the sort. But I do know that PANA are the subject matter experts on this particular matter. So I would urge you to listen to the community and the community organizers who are on the ground doing the work every day, if you and ignore them at your own peril. You know, in the same way that the community came together when the floods happened, it was the community people on the day-to-day basis who were out there who understood the needs of the people. That's what PANA is here to do, to demonstrate that they know exactly what needs to be done. So I would urge you to listen to what they're saying.
Thank you. As the next speakers coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in favor, Mahamoud Umar and Patricia Mondragon. What's your name? Please come forward.
My name is Patricia Serrano, and I'm a resident of the District 5. And I would like to say that since the first day of this humanitarian crisis, the regional NGOs stepped to the plate to do the work without no funding. And for years, they keep doing it. The local NGOs are the ones that know the needs of this vulnerable population. Why give the money outside the state for a profit organization? Please learn from your mistakes in the past and keep the grant to the people who work the local needs and know the needs of the immigrants in our community. The ones that are doing the work since the first day. Please give the grant to our communities and keep the good work that the NGOs are doing it in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Patricia Mondragon, Regional Policy Manager for Alliance San Diego. As a border region, San Diego has a long history of welcoming new arrivals, with local organizations responding to the needs of all immigrants, from recent arrivals to those making San Diego their new home. While we are pleased to see the county moving forward on building a more sustainable, welcoming infrastructure, we are concerned with the decision to contract a Virginia-based for-profit company whose service history in this area is unclear. After the January floods, the county contracted with Equus, an out-of-state for-profit company, to deliver emergency housing services to flood victims. There was confusion over services and billing practices. Residents returned to several Board of Supervisors meetings to share their deep frustrations and painful experiences with Equus. We'd like to ask the county to move forward in providing support and resources in a manner that ensures a safe and dignified arrival in our region in collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the speakers in opposition, Oliver Twist, Mark, and allegedly Audra. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Ms. Mahmoud, I'm a community organizer with the partnership of New Americans. We want to thank the board for placing item 17 on the agenda in response to the community concerns about potential misalignment with the board's direction and staff analysis, as well as the health and safety of vulnerable population. Our organization has been dedicated to supporting vulnerable individuals from diverse backgrounds, including asylees. Many of the individuals we have assisted are now respected, contributing members of our community, paying taxes, and actively participating in civic life. However, due to the increasing number of people seeking our help, we are facing challenges in meeting the demand with our current resources. We will greatly appreciate if the county could acknowledge and support the essential work we are doing to strengthen our community. Your recognition and assistance would help us to continue making a meaningful impact on the lives of those in need. The award contract must align with the county's stated equity goals and commitments.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Oliver Twist. So I'm actually neutral on whether you outsource it or not. It is interesting to watch the different special interests compete for scarce dollars. My larger umbrella issue for this is for the opportunity cost. And with our dismal education system nowadays, focusing on the wrong things, we need to get back to a classical education that focuses on academics, in particular math, because what I see here, many people aren't recognizing. In your board letter, you talk about a request to appropriate general fund reserves, and that again goes back to the chart and that growing gap of having to dig into reserves. That is a problem. It also goes to the opportunity cost, which is now in the national headlines about Hurricane Helene, and your board letter does say that FEMA's Shelter and Services Program grant funding money is being allocated for immigrants, and so while I do believe we should support them, we need to do so legally. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, while I support immigrants coming here, the U.S. simply cannot support all the people who want to come here. It's impossible. We've spent, at this time, no other immigrants should be coming here at all. We should stop that right now. We've spent $150 billion in the U.S. on immigrants, and we're actually offering loans right now to the Hurricane Helene victims. It's a disgrace. We don't have money for them. $150 billion, okay? This is all planned. Rosa Corey, you can see this video on YouTube if you want to understand. This is an intentional plan to turn us into the North American Union, where we have no rights. It's a fact. It's not a conspiracy theory. She's a recognized California expert witness. I've got a stack this high of stories of immigrants breaking laws, raping, killing, pillaging, drug use. Didn't even have time for that.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My person uses the name Audra. 1 minute is a disgrace, and this was totally intentional. Jim, you better do the right thing, because you know what's going on. This is an invasion. What is treason? This is treason. And until you can figure out where the 325,000 children went that have been lost coming across our border, coming across this border from Tijuana, Nora, where are they? And it's funny because you don't care probably because there's even a lawsuit against the Polinsky Center, right, for over 100 children being abused by county staff. Good on you guys, right? It doesn't matter about the children. These people are being exploited, and it's so funny to see these nefarious gangster operations coming in and wanting money, saying they're not for profit. This is $1 trillion business going on, okay? And if it wasn't a business, then why did SBCS take $2 million of the 6 and give it to their staff? This is a for-profit business. People are being exploited. Where are the children? answer that.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We will start with our first caller.
Or what the restrictions used are. We should know what these are and what you're getting us into. Nothing in the agenda about prioritizing the deportation of undocumented migrants who commit crimes like the murders in the country, rapes, and child abuse. There has been a trophy tree in Jacumba decorated with the underwear of victims. Otter and others have amply investigated this. These crimes perpetuate unimaginable suffering. But another aspect is the extra time and resources we have to spend on gathering evidence on an undocumented migrant. We should be reimbursed for this. This should be included in your to-do list.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good afternoon. This is Megan Thomas. I'm the president and CEO of Catalyst of San Diego and Imperial Counties, which is a network of nearly 100 foundations, corporate giving programs, community foundations, and other funders who contribute $1 billion annually to our region's most important work in communities. Thank you for placing this item on the agenda. At Catalyst, a binational migration funders group formed in 2018 and in recent years has contributed nearly $2 million to nonprofits supporting migrants as they arrive in this country. We work closely with those nonprofit organizations, including those whose core mission is support of immigrants and refugees, but also those who have risen to the occasion in recent years. Catalyst and our member funders are eager to continue working closely with community and with the county to respond to the needs that are current and also build long-term coordinated regional strategy that is so important. We ask that you listen to the community leaders and form a regional task force to address these needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Consuelo. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that these people are coming and they're not prepared, and it is not our responsibility to foot the bill. It's also something to be said about these nonprofits and, you know, the funding that they do receive. I mean, you're simply making money for problems not to be solved. You keep getting fun. I mean, basically, you wouldn't be in business if you didn't solve the problems, right? So that's that helps government a lot. They need independent people. They don't need a self-sustaining people who don't need them. But yeah, that's not the system we live in. And it's just really unfortunate for these people that are doing their all, who are working to try to help these people. I get you, man. I get you in the audience, but you got to wake up to a bigger picture of what's happening. And your little, I mean, I'm not saying what you're doing is.
Thank you. I'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, this is Crystal with We All We Got, which is a local mutual aid working at the airport to support migrants. And I just want to echo what was said by previous mutual aids and nonprofits, stating that we have local expertise, we have infrastructure already here, and it's disappointing to hear that we're possibly going to be using for-profit out-of state resources when we have the resources here. And I would urge and encourage everyone to really rethink that and to communicate with the resources that are here. There is more shelter that is also needed and is not being talked about. That funding is misaligned. There are people that are also staying in San Diego. That issue is being avoided at the moment, and really would urge everyone to really think about what is happening here, what we already have here, and the support that is needed here, and fund those organizations instead.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Kenia Peraza, and I am a woman, a Hispanic woman who lives in San Isidro. So I am against this, not because I don't care about these poor people. I agree they don't know what they're coming from. This just false American story that they think they're coming to. And there's just a bigger urge here, like education, like where are you leaving our kids here? They should be the first thing. They should be in the first priority. We don't have even base plan teachers in our classrooms. Our special education kids are left behind. They're being mistreated because there's no proper funds to train all of the staff.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth, 60 seconds to speak means less comments for Nora to cry about. Note that PANA's members donated to terrorist campaigns. Now, if only there were real asylum seekers and refugees rather than people breaking and entering into our country illegally. And if only they weren't going to be used as the new cheap labor source for politicians and their big corporate donors. And to do it with CBOs like SPCS who blew through over $1 million a month of everyone's tax dollars with zero accountability. Even the small-time CBOs know that this last-minute agenda item with only 60 seconds to speak is to keep them out of the conversation and to keep the monopoly in corrupt Catholic Charities' hands. A concept paper is not a real long-term plan. That's the type of short-sightedness that resulted in disaster from the last migrant shelter. If this was lawful, then the federal government would be doing its job of having secure borders, processing real asylum seekers and refugees, not migrants, at embassies in other countries or at our border entry points, and they'd be working on speeding up the immigration system. But they've done none of those things because none of this is legitimate, and the whole country knows it. The county needs to learn math and constitutional law. Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. So I really appreciate all of the folks that joined today. And my motion today is the recommendation really focuses on the 3 points here, but I want to just highlight that I want to make sure that once the Chief Administrative Officer, I would like that to direct staff to, once the procurement process has been for the Migrant Day Center, to really conduct the engagement with other regional recipients of SP funding and other local community-based organizations in alignment with the contract requirements. And I want to make sure that we come back, once that's done, with a report back in 60 days after the conclusion of the procurement process, with an update on the community engagement and operation of the Migrant Transition Center. I'm going to be super clear that I've learned a lot from this request. It was my initial motion to create this transition center, to really something that I've been working on for many, many years. And, you know, I can't get involved in the procurement process because of the rules that exist. And so I leave it in the hands of our county staff. And Dr. Giardina, I know this is your first meeting in your new capacity as Director of Health and Human Services. But I want to make sure it's very clear that for me it's extremely important, especially with private entities being engaged in this, that we are really monitoring the work that's being done. You know, I carried the motion to divest from private prisons when there was, when I was at CalSTRS, to make sure that we weren't privatizing how we were doing the work with our communities. And so I have concerns, which is why I brought this along. And again, I want to make sure that there's a fine line that I need to be able to walk as a board member and more importantly, as a community member and a community leader, because when I'm done with this board, I will continue to live in this community and advocate for the best of the region. And so it's very important to me that our community organizations are a part of this, because they know our communities, they've been doing this work for decades, and I want to make sure that they are not excluded from this. And so they've made some recommendations. Again, I don't want to get in, I know that I don't want to cross the line in making any additional demands that are not in my purview. But I'm hoping that you've taken, conspicuous notes on this and that you understand how important this issue is. And the report backs are going to be only one of the ways we're going to be able to get this back. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with this item. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Vargas, and thank you for highlighting the ongoing need for community engagement and input as we continue to rebuild, establish, continue on with the Migrant Transition Day Center. There's a lot of, back and forth with the federal government. We have SSP funding, so we certainly need to spend it down in time. We do have many grassroots perspectives, many who were here today, some who were not, but have expressed their concern in other ways. And so being on the boots on the ground in our local community is extremely important to all of our success. And I know that these community members and CBOs can inform how this program will best serve diverse migrant populations, provide the most effective supports, and most efficiently transition folks to their homes and loved ones throughout the country. So I will second this. I'm happy to support. Just want to, do we know yet what that community engagement process looks like?
Go ahead.
We'll ask through the chair for Dr. Giardina to respond to that comment.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. So we did put as one of the key factors in the evaluation criteria for this contract that there be collaboration and partnership with key stakeholders. We also will be coordinating with the others who have received the FEMA SSP funding. We want to make sure we're not duplicating service delivery and that we're coordinating with all the organizations who are working together to address and meet the needs of the migrants who are coming to our community. Additionally, our Homeless Solutions and Equitable Community team has a process for doing this type of community engagement, have been doing that work for quite some time. So we would definitely utilize those relationships and partnerships, making sure that we're talking with our local organizations who have been doing this work and have the expertise here. So as soon as the contract negotiations are done, we can begin that work.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Anderson.
I've spent a lot of time in the community and talked to a lot of folks, and people will approach me with great ideas, all of which are considered illegal. So as we move forward, sometimes what makes sense is the best approach is not a legal approach. So I'd just like to remind our team that we have to stay within the confines of what's legal and what's allowed. The other part is some money is tied to legal requirements. We don't set the border policy. These people are all transitioning through our communities. We want to welcome them, but sometimes we don't get perfect. We have to choose between better and worse. And so I just want to remind people that it may not be perfect, but we're doing the best we can. What would be perfect is if the federal government actually took the responsibility. Thank you.